Zenith Monday night matchup.
That elevates them from the cellar to the Super Bowl in 3 seasons. The Bills have seen the bad times, but this season's 9-1 record has them relishing the good times.
Being back here in the 2 and 14 days, and that especially at this time of the year, when the weather starts getting cold and you're going out there and you're actually playing for nothing other than to just get the season over with. Now it's so much easier to go out there because you know you have something to work for.
Well, the last time I was on a winning football team was my junior year in high school, believe it or not. So for me, this is the greatest feeling in the world to be on a winning team. We're 9-1, we're on a roll, and hopefully we can keep it going and get into the playoffs.
Well, before, it was nice to go to a restaurant and people just like give you a private table in the corner because they didn't want to be near you. Now they want to sit at your table, you know, and say, hey, you know, what's going on?
It feels great, not just for, you know, Jim Kelly and some of the my teammates, but for the whole city. You know, last 4 or 5 years, it's been tough on everybody, and it's about time, and we've worked very hard, and I think we deserve it. But again, we have, 6 more games left.
The first of those 6 games for Kelly will be tonight against the Miami Dolphins, and he'll bring into Joe Robbie Stadium the physical skills of the consummate NFL quarterback. A great arm, strength, durability, and a competitive nature that can lift an entire team. And Dan Marino will be at quarterback for the Dolphins, one of the greatest pure passers to ever play the game. He's averaged over 30 touchdown passes a season in his 6-year career. 2 of the game's finest at quarterback tonight as the Buffalo Bills.
Welcome to Miami, Florida on a beautiful South Florida evening. Temperatures in the high 70s. A slight breeze is stirring. Joe Robbie Stadium, less than capacity tonight for a meeting between the Buffalo Bills and the Miami Dolphins. These 2 longtime rivals in the American Football Conference. Hello again, everyone. I'm Frank Gifford, and welcome to our AFC Eastern Division battle tonight. It's the Buffalo Bills and the Miami Dolphins, and the Buffalo Bills being the best record in pro football into Joe Robbie Stadium tonight. They are 9-1. They have won their last 5 games. This team led, of course, by Jim Kelly on offense, but they have a defense that's been good all year, and it has been getting greater over the past few weeks. There's a quiet confidence about this team. You don't hear it from the very unassuming coach, Marv Levy, or the players either, but you get the feeling that they not only have their eye on the division, they have their eye on the Super Bowl and the winning part of that Super Bowl. They take on the Miami Dolphins tonight. The Dolphins are 5-5. They have won 4 of their last 6, but they are an up-and-down team, a team in question. And tonight, when they take on the Buffalo Bills, they know that if they lose, that they will drop to 5-6, and they will have the 10th. There will be 10 teams in the AFC that are better than them, and that is going to hurt any chances they might have or any thoughts they might have for entering the playoffs as a wild card, because their thoughts then, I think, will be starting to turn to the draft next year. What we really have, Al, is a team in Buffalo with an identity. Miami looking for an identity, as they have for the past couple of years.
I think, Frank, that the Miami Dolphins are a team very much on a treadmill. Following the '85 season in the playoffs, they were 1 win away from going to the Super Bowl, but then they were 8-8 in '86. They were 8-7 last year, 5-5 this year. One constant, of course, in their lineup has been Dan Marino, but maybe this team reflects Dan Marino. He's had a decent season, but he's been very erratic. Marino threw for more than 500 yards against the Jets earlier this year, but in a losing cause. As far as the offense is concerned, no doubt it must revolve around Dan Marino. The Dolphins are a one-dimensional team. They lead the league in passing yardage. They are dead last in the league in rushing yardage. And what can they do, Dan, with this Buffalo defense? They haven't been able to do very much over their last 2 encounters with them, that's for sure.
Who has? And I think that's a statement that's indicative of the way the Buffalo Bills have been playing defensively. They've been giving up only 14 points a game. That's second best in the National Football League. Only the Chicago Bears have played defense better. How have they played recently? Well, how about in their last 2 games, they haven't even given up a touchdown. And if that's not bad enough news for the Miami Dolphins, the last 2 times the Dolphins played the Bills, 1 game earlier this year and then a game last year in November, both in Buffalo, the Miami Dolphins haven't scored any touchdowns against this Bill defense either. You know the names. I think tonight for Miami, it's quite simple. That is simply this: Dan Marino and his offensive team have to do something that no one has been doing lately with any regularity. That's get the football in the end zone.
And the last time these 2 teams faced each other in September at Rich Stadium in Buffalo, the final score was 9-6 Bills in a game that featured no touchdowns. So Kelly awaits, and he'll be coming in a moment because Buffalo has won the toss and the Bills will receive. And with Fuad Reveiz hurt, The Dolphins a month ago signed Tony Franklin, the former Patriot. So he is now Miami's kicker, at least for the moment, though Reveiz is almost healthy and is eligible to return next week. Franklin puts the ball in the air, and the game is underway. At the 5-yard line, it's Flip Johnson out past the 25 and taken down at the 29-yard line. The tackle made by the veteran Bob Brudzinski. So here comes Jim Kelly. His career figures versus Miami with 7 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. But against the league this season, surprisingly, 10 TDs and 12 interceptions. Thurman Thomas is hurt. He is on the inactive list. So Harmon and Mueller are the running backs. Johnson and Reed are the wideouts, and Metzelaars is the tight end. And there is the offensive line, and a good one. The veteran Joe Devlin, number 70 at right tackle. From the 29-yard line, Kelly going right to the air, hits Metzelaars, the tight end, and he picks up about 7 to the 36-yard line. He is stopped there by John Offerdahl. The Miami defense was doing a pretty decent job earlier in the season, but Shula has not been very happy of late. Turner and Sauché are having good years. As far as their linebackers are concerned, they are minus Mark Brown tonight. They were hoping he could play. He suited up, couldn't. He is inactive. And there is the secondary. And Williams, Jarvis Williams, the second-round pick out of Florida, has done a fine job at free safety. 4 interceptions this season. Jamie Mueller, the fullback, barrels ahead for the first down. So the Bills keeping it on the ground. Rick Graff making the tackle. But again, keep in mind the good-looking rookie Thurman Thomas out of action tonight with a severely bruised shin.
I don't think we'll have to wait long, Al and Dan, to find out what Buffalo wants to do. And they want to run the ball. They can recall, and they have won 3 times over Miami. But up in Buffalo last year, in a 27-0 blowout, they just kept the ball all day long. Just running the ball. Miami never even saw it. They'd like to do that again tonight.
1st and 10. Buffalo from the 41-yard line. That's Andre Reed in motion. Kelly protected well. Far side, and it's caught at the 49-yard line by Reed. Just short of the first down. And to the disgust of the crowd as well, who thought he was out of bounds. Covered by Paul Langford.
Haven't we been seeing a lot of, I guess, illustrious use of the sidelines by wide receivers this year? And I think we're going to see another example here of beautiful footwork on the sidelines. Both feet have to be in. And the ball really, when I first saw it go, I thought was going to be out of bounds. But what a fabulous play by Andre Reed, keeping both feet in bounds, concentrating on the ball and making the catch.
Nuriev would have loved it.
His 49th catch of the year. The crowd responds. They played it back on the big screen, and they didn't like the call as Mueller takes it across the 50, and he's very close to the first down. He is stopped by number 98, Jackie Klein, in his second year out of Alabama.
Did Buffalo run that play in a hurry, or was that my imagination? I think they cranked that baby off in a hurry, trying to beat the replay if there was going to beat one. But at least from that angle we looked at, it looked pretty obvious that Andre Reed had both feet in bounds. The crowd didn't like it, but that was superlative effort by Reed.
Are we getting that so sophisticated now with the replay that they actually are doing that?
Well, they are coached by a Phi Beta Kappa, Marv Levy, so he'd be the guy to do it.
Let's look at it again. That's Andre Reed in front of Paul Langford, and
That's
you
beautiful.
can see obvious that both feet are in bounds. That's as good as it gets.
They measure for the first down, and they are inches short. So the Bills will have a 3rd and inches. Opening moments of this game in Miami. There is Marv Levy, and he hopes this is the first of 2 visits to Miami, because the Super Bowl will be played here on January 22nd. Third down, inches. Rob Riddick is their short yardage specialist, and that's he as the I-back in this set with Carl Byram, the fullback. And they give it to Riddick, and he really excels in these situations. He gets a first down, taking it to the 45-yard line. His rushing average is only 3.3, but don't let that fool you. About half the time he carries the ball, he gets a first down.
You saw him cocked and ready to give you the patented Riddick dive over the line of scrimmage, but there was a huge gaping hole. You'll see him. He is just about ready to release it, but this was just a surge off the line by the Bills, and there he goes. He didn't even need to go up.
He's carried the ball 52 times this year, and 26 carries have resulted in a first down. That's exactly the situation they love to use him in. At the 45-yard line, Kelly overthrowing the intended receiver, trying to hit Ronnie Harmon coming out of the backfield. It'll be 2nd down and 10.
And Harmon was open on that play. That's a ball that just floated from Jim Kelly. Harmon made his break to the inside and I think was in a position to catch the ball, but that ball just floated from Jim Kelly. The protection was good. He had a good lane down the middle. That ball just overthrown, and you see that Thurman Thomas was there to make the catch in front of Lifford Hobley. There's a pretty brisk breeze blowing around Joe Robbie here tonight. We're going to have to see if that affects the passing game at all.
2nd and 10 out of a split back set. Harmon, and it's off his fingertips. Harmon sent out into the flat, and they use him as a receiving specialist coming out of the backfield, the 3rd-year back out of Iowa. And again, they're minus Thomas tonight, so we'll see a lot of Harmon. We'll see a lot of Rob Riddick, their short yardage specialist, and the other backs are Carl Byram and Jamie Mueller. It is a running game without a marquee back, but it's been very functional this year.
And this is where you get a coach like Marv Levy saying, what am I doing calling a pass on 1st and 2nd down? Because conservative coaches, this is the situation they fear the most. 3rd and long when they could have been grinding it out on the ground.
3 receivers split to the left as Kelly out of the shotgun has a 1st down to Riddick. And Riddick bouncing down to the 27-yard line. He is stopped by the rookie Jarvis Williams. Riddick, who played such a big role last week after Thomas got hurt, off to a good start tonight.
That's only his 4th reception of the year. Good call. Ted Marchibrodo, offensive coordinator, calling most of the plays as Riddick appears to be limping off. But you pick the man who's going to be picked up by a linebacker. You don't anticipate he's going to be the receiver. They left him wide open. He gets the 1st down easily.
Buffalo with their 3rd 1st down. They've had the ball for the first 3.5 minutes of the game. And keeping it on the ground, Harmon through the middle down to the 22-yard line. And that Miami defense, especially against the run, can be very porous, as New England proved last week.
Well, if you're a Dolphin rooter, you have to watch the line of scrimmage, because I think when you look at these two teams on paper, you might have a tendency to look at the Buffalo Bills and say they are a physical superior team up on the line of scrimmage. And at least here in the early going, the Buffalo offensive line is handling the front 7 of Miami. They're putting no pressure on Kelly when he goes back to throw, and when Buffalo is running the ball, there's good holes up the middle.
2nd down and 2 from the 21-yard line. Toss to Harmon, and Harmon picks up a 1st down, or close to it, as he moves to the 18-yard line. Last week, New England scored 3 touchdowns against the Miami defense. On 2 of the drives, they were long drives, and New England stayed on the ground exclusively.
And Frank, I think you know how demoralizing that is to a football team, not just the defensive football team. That's felt up and down the sidelines. Buffalo way below the NFL average once they're inside the 20-yard line.
And they spot the ball at the 18.5, so he's a little short of the 1st down. 3rd down and a couple of inches. Buffalo 2 for 2 in 3rd down situations, and you can make it 3 for 3 now as Rob Riddick gets the call. Carl Byram leads the way with a nice block, and that's a 4th successive 1st down for the Buffalo Bills.
2 3rd and short yardages, and thus far Miami not even close to stopping it. Here it is over the left side. Good block by Richard, pulling out from the left guard. Riddick again appeared to be cocked to go over the top. He doesn't have to. Big gaping hole, and Dan, you're right, it is really demoralizing, but will also allow Buffalo to start thinking play action pass if they want to. And you can run the football, you can do anything with your offense.
From the 16, Kelly to the air. Kelly fires into the end zone and incomplete. He tried to hit Metzelaars, the tight end, rolling around the goal line, and Jackie Klein put the pressure on Kelly as Jim released.
He wanted Trumaine Johnson over the left side, and it was good coverage by Judson over the left side, and he had to come off of it.
What's the 2nd time that Jim Kelly has attempted to throw that pass pattern? Again, on an attempt to hit the post pattern, the ball floats on him. That ball was at least 4 feet, 5 feet over the head of the intended receiver. And that's something we've got to keep our eye on. Jim Kelly, when he attempts to throw the ball hard over the middle, has had it sail on.
2nd down and 10. Kelly throwing, caught, touchdown, Ronnie Harmon.
That one didn't sail. Was a little wobbly, but it was right in there. And Harmon, who is a good running back, but they have used him when Thurman Thomas was in there as a running back, as a wide receiver many times. Good receiver out of the backfield. He works well also as a wide receiver, and he was set out to the left. Lifford Hobley was there, but well delivered by Jim Kelly.
Really an unusual move by the Bills, putting Harmon all the way out there as a wideout. You'd think the advantage would be with Hobley, the defensive back, but he gave him all sorts of room to the inside.
Scott Norwood for the point after. And the Buffalo Bills march it down the field. Harmon with his second touchdown reception of the season. Buffalo controls the ball for the first 5 minutes, 46 seconds of the first quarter, and they lead Miami 7-0. Textbook, the Buffalo Bills, 13 plays, 71 yards. Converting 3 times on third down, and then Kelly hits Ronnie Harmon for a touchdown. 7-0 Bills, who seek their 10th win in 11 games. The Buffalo Bills trying to get to the playoffs. The Bills and the Philadelphia Eagles have gone the longest among the clubs in the NFL without a playoff appearance. Neither has appeared in postseason play since 1981. But the Bills right now very much on their way. Joe Cribbs, the former Bill, takes it from Miami at the 6-yard line, and Cribbs brings it back to the 20. Another look now at the touchdown.
Look what the Buffalo Bills did. Up here at the top is Ronnie Harmon, but look over here, we have Andre Reed and Trumaine Johnson. This is going to force the Dolphins to rotate their zone. Lifford Hobley over here is left all alone. The Dolphins rotate their defense to the 2 wide receiver side. They make the decision to lock Hobley one-on-one with the running back, and that decision costs them a touchdown. Ronnie Harmon, following in the footsteps of Herschel Walker, I guess, who goes out and plays a little wide receiver, that time gets a touchdown grab.
And yet it was a logical decision to make. Just not good coverage.
From the 20-yard line, Marino going right to the air, and why not? Hits Jim Jensen, who's coming off a game in which he caught 12 passes. Big favorite of the crowd here at Joe Robbie Stadium. A team record 12 receptions last Sunday, and he'll line up everywhere. Dan Marino, he hasn't been sacked in his last 290 pass attempts. That covers 6 games. He has not been sacked since September. And we'll take a look at the offense in a moment as the Dolphins line up at the 35-yard line, 1st and 10. The setback is Lorenzo Hampton. That's Jensen in the slot. And it's Hampton on the ground. And he moves forward to the 39 for a pickup of about 4. Troy Stratford has been bothered by a gimpy ankle, so he was on the inactive list last week. He and Hampton had been sharing a lot of time, but Lorenzo getting the call tonight.
One of the things we're going to watch during the course of the evening is how are the Buffalo Bills going to pressure the Miami Dolphins. And I think we saw an answer that last time around. They're going to try to do it up the middle. They moved Bruce Smith, normally a defensive end, that time into nose guard, playing over Jeff Dellenbach, the center. Again, there's Smith moving to the inside. The pressure up the middle is what they're going to try to do to disturb Marino.
2nd and 6 from the 40-yard line. That's Clayton in motion. And Hampton swinging to the outside, and nothing but white shirts. And the first man to hit him is the cornerback, Derek Burrows.
There was a mess up in the backfield on the part of Woody Bennett. Woody Bennett obviously was moving the wrong way. They collided.
And here is the offense for Miami with Hampton and Jensen for the moment starting at the running back spot. So Jensen in the slot with Duper and Clayton, the wide receivers, and Farrell Edmonds, the rookie tight end. And up front, Giesler's going to have his hands full tonight with Smith, the veteran Foster, Dellenbach replacing the injured Stevenson, who's been out for a year now, and a rookie Galbraith at right guard with Ronnie Lee filling out the interior. 3rd down and 10 now. A little shovel pass to Stratford, and Stratford takes it ahead to the 45-yard line, but comes up a little short of the 1st down.
And if you're going to run the shovel pass, you better run it to the side of Bruce Smith. You know he's got the great upfield rush. Go ahead and get underneath Smith and try to pick up a 1st down that way. That's what the Dolphins and Stratford tried to do.
Stratford playing on a very sore ankle. Did not play last week, was on the inactive list.
And they're going to go for it, Frank, on 4th down.
To the delight of the crowd, so a very big gamble by Shula early on.
After 5-5, playing with the team that's dominated the first 5 minutes of this first quarter, you've got to think go for it.
4th down and inches from the 45-yard line.
And they're in trouble with the clock.
And not going to get it off.
The clock down to 0.
And they didn't. Did they get a timeout?
Marino walked away from it. I didn't even see him indicate a timeout, but they gave him the timeout.
Boy, I sure didn't see him call it.
No. They called a penalty. It's a delay of game penalty back to the 40-yard line.
Oh, boy.
Nobody threw the flag, and Dan Marino, rather than take a timeout, just walked away from it and took a 5-yard penalty.
So much for that gamble.
Well, if you think about it, didn't hurt a whole lot. It's what you would suspect they would have done anyway, brought out the punting unit.
And it wasn't as if they were doing it to try to draw Buffalo offside either, because they set up late out of the huddle.
Well, the problem was they brought in Mark Dennis, a reserve offensive lineman. He has to report to the official, and that whole process took about an extra 10 or 15 seconds.
Now Reggie Roby to kick, flips Johnson to receive. Johnson calls for the fair catch, and then lets it bounce, and this will pin Buffalo deep. Back at the 9-yard line. 51-yard boot by Reggie Roby. 5:35 to go in the first quarter. 7-0 Bills. Hopelessly out of the game against the L.A. Raiders when Dan Marino made his professional debut, and the rookie from Pittsburgh threw his first ever professional touchdown pass, a 6-yarder to tight end Joe Rose, the first of many. Look down at Joe Robbie Stadium, which opened last year after the Dolphins had played at the Orange Bowl since they were granted an expansion franchise in the American Football League. A look down from the Goodyear blimp. And now a look in at Kelly and the Buffalo Bills from the 9-yard line as they begin this drive with Harmon on the ground. And Ronnie Harmon running for a first down out to the 21-yard line. William Judson makes the tackle, and another big hole up front exploited by a Buffalo running back. That's been the story thus far.
Ronnie Harmon can do a lot of things, as we just saw. He was a #1 draft pick in 1986 and kind of lost his job, so to speak, when Thurman Thomas, the rookie from Oklahoma State, came in this year. But he has been used mostly as a receiver, but he is a fine running back as well.
He's carried 3 times already for 21 yards. Again, if you pick this up late, Thurman Thomas, who's been their featured running back, hurt and on the inactive list tonight. So we'll see a lot of Harmon. We'll see a lot of Riddick. From the 20-yard line, Kelly throwing the bomb for Andre Reed, too far. And a flag is down back upfield, back at the 20-yard line. Jarvis Williams covering on the play, and there's the penalty marker back at the 21. And it's against Buffalo, which is good news for Shula. You know, the amazing thing about the Dolphins, for years, they've prided themselves on being so penalty-free. They've always led the league in penalties or been second, but this year it's a whole other story. They're 19th.
The tackle on the right side of the line was uncovered. No eligible receiver on the outside. The penalty is declined. 2nd down.
So says Gordon McCarter.
There must be 7 men on the line of scrimmage, and here's a look at the Miami Dolphins, and take a look at that. And their penalty yardage over 100 yards twice, averaging over 100 for their last 3 games. And if you follow this game closely, as Al said, that is not Don Shula's trademark.
That is amazing. From the 21-yard line, it's Jamie Mueller on a 2nd and 10. Stopped by T.J. Turner, number 95. One man the Dolphins are missing up front, if you haven't been following this team, is John Bosa, last year's #1 draft pick, but he suffered a severe knee injury. And in fact, they're talking about him maybe not returning until mid-year '89.
And Bosa, who was a #1 draft choice here in Miami, had really not had a great rookie year, but was really coming on strong. The Dolphins were very pleased the way he was playing. And this brings up a 3rd and long for Buffalo. Last time in this situation, they went to Riddick out of the backfield.
3rd down and 7 from the 24-yard line. And they shovel it to Riddick, so they go to him in essence out of the backfield, and a flag goes down. He was very close to a first down. They needed 7. He moved from the 24 to the 31. Call made by the umpire, who's Ben Montgomery, who relays it to McCarter.
I don't know if this is against Vogler, but the flag hit him. Tim Vogler, the right guard.
Unless the umpire had bad aim, you can count on it.
One or the other.
Number 65 offense, 10-yard penalty from the previous spot. Repeat, third down.
And he was the man at the point of attack. Vogler pulled from his right guard position and makes the block. He makes the block to get in front of Rob Riddick. Here he is right there. There's Vogler. Now watch him do the kick-out block. He's going to work against number 90 over there, Eric Kumaro, and as Kumaro tries to come back to the middle, Vogler tackles him.
Then the flag hits him. That's how Pin the Tail on the donkey got started.
Well, that's one of the qualifications to be an umpire. You have to have a pin the tail background.
3rd and 16. A little dump pass to Harmon. Pass the 20 and run out of bounds at the 23, but they're short of the first down.
All my life I've wanted,
runs them out.
all my life I've wanted to get back at those guys.
How many years have you waited to say that?
Well, you have to admit I'm patient. I picked my spot.
That is embarrassing to be hit with that flag, isn't it?
Oh, it's not, especially if it's aimed for someone else.
So rare the offensive lineman gets recognition.
I never held in my entire career, so I was always getting hit by flags that were being aimed someplace else.
At Dobler.
Yeah, he ate them.
John Kidd to kick. Sets up at his own 10-yard line. Scott Schwades to receive. He fields at the 35 and gets taken down immediately by Steve Tasker. Outstanding on the special teams. Tasker drops him right away after a 42-yard kick. 3:17 left in the first quarter. Still 7-0 Buffalo. 3:17 to play in the first quarter. Al Michaels, Frank Gifford, and Dan Deerdorf at Joe Robbie Stadium. Bruce Smith and the Buffalo defense confronting Miami now. Miami has the ball for the second time. And they begin this drive at the 35-yard line. Buffalo took the opening kickoff and marched 71 yards for a touchdown. Bills 9-1. Dolphins 5-5 coming in. 1st and 10 from the 35. Lorenzo Hampton out to the 38-yard line. Hampton in his 4th year out of Florida. Ray Bentley, number 50, one of the inside backers, makes the tackle.
You know, that's something about this Buffalo team. You're going to be calling names like Ray Bentley and Darryl Talley and Fred Still, Art Still rather, but a lot of people that are kind of getting lost in the Bruce Smith and Shane Conlon and Cornelius Bennett Derby. And what this guy Marv Levy has done is assembled certainly, I think, a defensive football team that is on the border of reaching the level attained by maybe the 86 Giants and the 85 Bears. They're that good.
2nd and 6. The pressure put on that time, and the pass is incomplete. It may have hit one of his linemen, and the penalty marker goes down. So it hit Ronnie Lee right up the middle.
Dan Marino with Smith breathing right into his face. Tried to get rid of the ball, hit Ronnie Lee, his tackle, with the football, and of course you can't do that. Smith again. Dan pointed out they had put him over the center. This time he's right in Marino's face. Look at there. You have to get rid of the ball. It's Ronnie Lee, his offensive tackle, and that draws the flag.
And I think, watch this again. Watch Smith go right around Jeff Dellenbach, the center. And I think you see one thing. This is why Dan Marino hasn't been sacked in the last 6 games. This guy will dump the football. He is not going to eat it. And an offensive lineman loves to play for a quarterback like that.
And you combine that with the way he can read also. He reads defenses about as well as any quarterback around. And, of course, they set an offense for him to get rid of it quickly. But you're right, he will get rid of it.
Meanwhile, all it was an incomplete pass, as it turns out, a loss of down. And it's 3rd and 6 at the 39-yard line. They picked the flag up.
And Bruce Smith has to be saying to himself, if I can't sack this guy coming through that clean, am I ever going to get him?
Smith lines up at right end. Marino out of the shotgun. And Smith couldn't wait to jump as Marino fires over the middle, and the catch is made at the 41 of Buffalo by Freddie Banks. And Smith came flying across the line, but there's no flag. And doesn't matter to the Dolphins anyway. They'll take the play.
And I think he moved right on the ball. I think that was just good anticipation on the part of Bruce Smith. And obviously that's what the official thought as well. Did you see who was trying to block him? Troy Stratford.
Well, they dropped John Giesler out to help. They were trying to get 2 on him, but he's just too quick for it.
It's amazing, though, when you looked at it live, it appeared everybody else was in a freeze frame, and there went Bruce.
Boy, did the Dolphins need that.
6'4" and 285, and can he move it?
And there he is on the center again.
1st and 10, Miami from the 41-yard line.
Marino checks it off.
After a 20-yard pickup. It's incomplete. Fred Smerlas tipping it.
And again, it's Dan Marino being forced to throw without setting his feet. He's falling backwards, throwing off his heels. A look at it here as Dan Marino never gets the opportunity to set, falling backwards, and Fred Smerlas gets his hand on the ball. And somehow, some way, the Dolphins up front, Foster, Dellenbach, and Galbraith, the middle three are going to have to control this runaway Bill defensive charge, because Dan Marino can't count on being successful facing that kind of a rush all night long.
2nd down and 10 from the 40-yard line. They send 5, and Marino dumps it off, and it's complete to Davenport, and Davenport gets to the 14-yard line, and that's the risk you run on a blitz. It opens up the middle. Davenport exploits it. 1st down, Miami.
Well, they say Marino is not mobile, and he's not, but Cornelius Bennett came around the horn with his great speed, and he was still able to deliver it.
Watch the blitz up the middle. Number 58, Shane Conlon's going to come from the left. A looping charge in the middle, and Davenport had just come out of the backfield from the right side. And that is the risk you run. Ray Bentley was trying to make the coverage, number 50 there, but as you can see, he was woefully behind the play. And can there be a better quarterback in the game than Marino in getting rid of the ball in that situation?
1st down, Miami at the 14 in the final minute of the quarter. Hampton to the outside, and nothing there. Wrapped up by Leonard Smith, who started the season with the Cardinals and came over in week 3. And does he ever hit?
Plays safety like a linebacker. I know you know him well from the years with the St. Louis Cardinals, Dan, but he will play it like a linebacker. They had to have a safety, and the Cardinals needed a cornerback, and it was a pretty good deal for both of them.
And how about the range displayed there by Bruce Smith, getting all the way out from down over the offensive guard, getting out there and making a play with a strong safety. We don't want to, I guess, canonize this football team, but defensively, boy, is Buffalo loaded.
That's a nightmare when you get hit by the firm of Smith and Smith. Buffalo jumps collectively. Flag goes down, and the pass is dropped by Mark Duper. But the Bills, almost as a unit, appear to come across the line.
When they jump collectively like that, something is making them jump, Dan. It's either the bark of Dan Marino, there's movement somewhere. You can almost see it, the way Marino barked that signal that brought them off.
Here's the option now being discussed. McCarter to Marino. Marv Levy, meanwhile, checking things out from the Buffalo sideline, and one of the more famous countenances in American sport.
Could be on Mount Rushmore.
Yep. Meanwhile, as they sort it out, the teams come back up the field. It's the end of the quarter.
Number 76 defense was offside. The penalty will be assessed after the change of quarter. The offense had the option of having an untimed down at this end of the field. They chose to have the penalty enforced at the other end to start the 2nd quarter. It'll be 2nd down.
All right.
All those
well
things.
Put. It'll be 2nd and 8 at the 12 when we start the 2nd quarter. Back after this message and a word from. And we start the 2nd quarter in Miami. Buffalo ahead 7-0. Miami now has not scored a touchdown against the Buffalo defense in 9 quarters. But they're getting close here. As we start the 2nd period, they are at the Buffalo 12-yard line. It is 2nd down, 8.
And Al, this is the point of the field where recently Dan Marino has had a couple misfires, throwing some interceptions in the end zone.
And Marino throws underneath. It's caught by Davenport. He gets pushed back from the 9-yard line by Darryl Talley, the aggressive linebacker in his 6th year out of West Virginia.
And Davenport's beefing a little bit about some piling on, he thought.
It'll be 3rd and 4.
We'll get into that later.
Not necessarily.
Look at Marino split out.
3rd down and 4. And that's Jensen, the quarterback, flipping it to Hampton on a bizarre play, taking it to the 5-yard line. Well, we said Jensen lines up everywhere, including quarterback. Out of the very back of the playbook, that one comes.
He's worked at quarterback over the years. Hasn't been there this year, but he came up as a quarterback and turned into a player that plays about 5 different positions. The crowd loves this. It's just the old option down the line. You're not going to do this with Marino. Jensen takes it down the line, pitches it out.
Yeah, but unfortunately, this makes a blocker out there out of Dan Marino. I don't think he did very much, but meanwhile, Al, this brings up a 4th and short.
It does. All that razzle-dazzle, it's still 4th and 1, and now out of a tight formation with Marino back in his more conventional role. Handing the ball to Bennett, but he is stopped at the 5-yard line. Woody Bennett can't pick up the first down. Cornelius Bennett, no relation.
Buffalo held.
Makes a stop. And Miami still can't put it into the end zone against the Bills.
I'll tell you, that may make the highlight reel, but I think when you get down here, you have to go with what has brought you down here. They come up short on the 4th down call. Woody Bennett short by about a yard.
So Dan Marino going over that 4th down call with Don Shula. They come up empty. Do the Dolphins? Bills take over from the 5-yard line, and Rob Riddick goes through the middle, gives them some breathing room, takes it out to the 11.
When the Dolphins didn't convert, I want you to look at this guy right here. Art Still working against Ronnie Lee, the right tackle. Look how he collapses him inside and then makes the tackle himself. Art Still, the former Chief, comes off the ball, collapses number 72, Ronnie Lee, and then on his knees gets in on the tackle of Woody Bennett. That is just single-handedly a superb play by this 2-time Pro Bowler, Art Still. 4-time Pro Bowler.
He might have been the last addition that made this defense gel.
Man who wore out his welcome in Kansas City and a new home in Buffalo. Mueller to the outside, and he takes Langford with him for another couple of yards after he picks up the first down. Rob Riddick led the way with a beautiful block and a first down out at the 21-yard line.
I still have to go back to that option play. Miami takes the ball right down the field. They have everything working for them. They get down, and then on a 3rd down, come in with an option play with Jensen at quarterback. And Marino, really a blocker at the point of attack.
Well, you know, there's been a lot of talk here in Miami about the play calling and the play selection. We may see a situation there where everyone may deny that they called that play.
From the 21-yard line, 1st and 10 Buffalo. That's Mueller going in motion, and Riddick is the ball carrier. And Riddick dropped the ball, but after his knee was down, he picks up 5, takes it out to the 26-yard line. And it's 2nd down. Well, a little respite tonight, but tomorrow night, back we come with part 2.
For remembrance, and it is the most riveting thing that I have seen in years.
Riddick out to the 29-yard line. Stopped by Lifford Hobley.
What does it go on for some 30 hours all told?
Yep.
18 hours over the next 2 weeks.
So be with us tomorrow night, 8 Eastern, 7 Central. 3rd down and 2 coming up. Buffalo at the 29-yard line. 11 minutes to play in the half. Bills on top, 7-0. Jim Kelly comes up out of the shotgun. With protection, hits his man Andre Reed. A first down and a lot more, and Reed goes out of bounds. A flag was dropped at the 48-yard line, indicating he had gone out of bounds at that point. Pushed out by Paul Langford.
And again, the Miami Dolphins, who came with 5 people, couldn't get anywhere near Jim Kelly.
Andre Reed caught 8 passes in the first game, the first 9-6 win of Buffalo over Miami, and just a simple crossing pattern. Kelly with all the time as Reed comes all the way across the middle.
The flag will be picked up.
And then he just turns it on and runs away from Paul Langford. And he does not go out of bounds until he gets down inside the 45-yard line.
It takes a lot of time to run a crossing pattern, and Kelly had it provided courtesy of his offensive line.
Goodyear Blimp Enterprise from Pompano Beach, piloted by Jim Maloney. Looking down into Joe Robbie Stadium. Buffalo with a first down at the 43 of the Miami Dolphins after a 28-yard pickup. Reed and Chris Burkett both split to the right. Again, Burkett has not played in 4 weeks. That's he at the top of the screen. He's been out with a knee injury as Kelly throws, and it's caught by Reed, and Reed fights his way for a first down. to the 33-yard line. An emerging star, Andre Reed, in his 4th year at a Kutztown State.
What a beautiful move he made. Kelly, first of all, with the halfback blitz coming right in his face, was able to get the ball to him some way. It was William Judson coming in, and here is Reed. Now watch the move he'll put on Jarvis Williams. Williams, a good tackler, the rookie out of Florida, just slips right under the arm and keeps his balance and gets the first down. But a great effort by Kelly just to get that off.
First and 10, Buffalo at the 33. Bills on top, 7-0. It's dropped by Harmon. 2nd down.
That time a rollout by the Bills, and Jim Kelly just seems to have all the room that he wants to work behind that offensive line that's really controlling the line of scrimmage, and that's a perfectly catchable ball that Harmon just doesn't handle. And look how quickly this has turned around from the Dolphins and their inability to convert inside the Buffalo 10-yard line. Here they are now down inside their own 35, having to defend.
On 2nd and 10, Kelly to the air again, going deep and too deep, intended for Trumaine Johnson. And it will be 3rd down and 10. By the way, mentioned Andre Reed at a Kutztown State. Before you start writing in, it's Kutztown University.
Don't I know it?
Yeah, right.
Remember how we talked last time about where Kutztown University was? It's located in Pennsylvania, because I got a nice little pamphlet from their athletic department.
Postage due was $23, right?
We appreciated the publicity, but in case you were wondering exactly where we are, here it is.
Put us in the right state.
Yeah, it was nice to get some nice mail.
3rd down and 10 at the 33. Kelly from the gun throws to the far side, and the catch is made at the 21-yard line by Chris Burkett. And the man who's been hurt, the man who was not on injured reserve, though he could have been. He's missed 4 weeks, and finally he comes back tonight.
Yeah, but how about Kelly once again? He stayed in there. He is so confident. But more than that, he's one of the gutsiest guys you're going to find. Here is Burkett making the move. Gets to the sideline against Rodney Thomas. But meanwhile, Kelly knows he is going to get popped by Kumaro.
Kumaro loops all the way around the middle, Frank, and comes up and has a clean shot at Kelly. One of the few times that Miami has really pressured Kelly.
That's mental toughness. It's squared.
This drive started back at the 5-yard line. Riddick goes nowhere on a first down play. 8:45 to go in the half. Buffalo on top, 7-0. Don Shula, and as Frank mentioned at the top, a vitally important game for this team. They're thinking about a wild card possibility. Buffalo would have to totally collapse not to win the AFC East. And the Dolphins and several other teams in contention for the wild card spots at the moment.
Don talking to Tom Olivadotti, his defensive coordinator, trying to come up with a little magic here.
2nd and 9 from the 20. And a little magic is almost a pass interference, but there's no flag.
We'll call that sleight of hand.
Yeah, Lifford Hobley grabbing on to Ronnie Harmon, and Levy wants to know where the flag is.
Yeah, they could just as well have dropped one if they wanted to. Again, a good read by Kelly, as it was Ronnie Harmon who was flanked out to the right. Now he's going to get single coverage. Keep in mind he's a back put out as a flanker, and could have called it. Well, it's certainly in the area that could have drawn a flag.
Yeah, I guess so. Looked like a long way into the area where it could have drawn a flag.
3rd down and 9 now, with Trumaine Johnson and Reed split to the left. Burkett and Harmon to the right. Out of the shotgun. Kelly with a deep drop. Riddick is wide open. And Riddick drops the football, but recovers it at the 13-yard line. And that fumble may have cost him a first down. They had to get to the 11 and a half. And that fumble, bouncing backwards, may be the difference right now between a first down and a 4th down.
I think your call, Al, is right on. He did have the first down. Again, it's just nothing simple. Riddick just floats out of the backfield. He's going to work first against William Judson, and Judson semi-misses the tackle. But it looks like it's a hit right up the middle. Bud Brown jars the ball loose, and that does force the Bills into a field goal.
So it's 4th and 1.5 yards, and here's Scott Norwood, a 30-yard attempt. Kidd will hold at the 20, and the kick is perfect. Norwood having an exceptional season. So a long drive for the Bills culminates with a field goal. 7:09 to go in the half. It's 10-0 Buffalo. Jay Simpson. My understanding, Frank, O.J. is becoming a golf pro these days. And I know he's avoiding me in tennis.
I see him get up one more time on that run.
He's avoiding you in tennis because he's afraid if you beat him, it'll end up in the paper.
You know that.
O.J. Heisman Award winner, and we may have another one determined. An SC-UCLA game coming up on Saturday.
Rodney Peete and Troy Aikman will be involved. Winner to the Rose Bowl, and as Frank said, maybe the Heisman at stake as well.
Who's in the Rose Bowl?
Yeah, right. At the 1-yard line, Joe Cribbs, 20, and banged down at the 25-yard line. The hit made by Butch Roll. And on the subject of college football, we also have a flag down, and we'll tell you about that in a moment. Michigan on the edge as they fight for playoff berths.
You have to admit, it's not a bad Saturday afternoon worth of football, huh?
A great one coming up that time of year. Meanwhile, the penalty on the kickoff was against Miami, negating much of the run back and putting the ball back to the 9-yard line, where they start this drive down by a score of 10-0. 1st and 10 as Lorenzo Hampton. Nice spin move and about a 9.5-yard pickup. Mark Kelso and Nate Odoms converge on the tackle. What appears to be just a little bit short of the first down.
That was made possible. Big block on the left side by John Giesler, who's been having to spend part of his afternoon working against Bruce Smith. But watch Giesler, number 79 at the left. He's working against Darryl Talley, the outside linebacker, drives him all the way to the outside. And Hampton read that and then breaks a tackle, spins. And this is a kind of an effort sometimes by a running back. We saw that time by Hampton. It sometimes can spark a team, get them going a little bit. The Dolphins look like they're on the verge of falling asleep.
2nd and inches, and Marino will take what amounts to a free play and throw it and completes it to Duper for a first down out at the 31-yard line. Duper's numbers are decent this year, but he's really not having a Mark Duper-like season. Clayton's having a terrific year, but not so for Duper. And he's shaken up as well here.
Frank, isn't it refreshing to see a quarterback go to the air on 2nd and a foot? I mean, I get tired of seeing teams run it. That time Dan Marino takes the opportunity to work outside to Duper, and look how open he is. Everyone playing the run.
And, of course, they have that much confidence in their offense. Their pass offense is just like their run offense here in Miami. And they have a lot of confidence that Marino's not going to hurt them with it. Duper appears to be all right.
Al Michaels, Frank Gifford, and Dan Deerdorf as the Miami Dolphins have the ball at their own 31-yard line. Moving against this incredibly tough Buffalo defense, and that's the only way to describe it. They've not given up a touchdown in almost 2.5 games over the last 2.5 weeks, and in fact 2.5 games against Miami going back to last year as well. From the 31-yard line, Hampton for a gain of 5 as he takes it out to the 36.
Well, they also come into tonight with 35 sacks on the year. Now that's one more than they had in all of last season. And again, I think a lot of it is Art Still's acquisition. He was the final nail in a real solid defense.
Now that really indicates what they've done in passing yardage. It's the first time in 11 years an NFL team has held its opponents below 75 yards passing in each of 3 consecutive games. They shut the Packers out. Last week they gave up just a field goal to the Seahawks, and the week before only 47 yards to Flutie. On 2nd and 5, over the middle, Woody Bennett makes the catch. He doesn't do that very often. And a first down out to the 48-yard line. So they go to Woody Bennett, who makes only his 2nd catch of the season.
One thing about that graphic, though, we just put up, if you're going to post those kind of numbers, you might as well do it against Seattle and against Green Bay and against New England, teams that really don't have much of a passing attack. I think we're seeing some good offensive mix here by the Dolphins. Hampton has been effective running the football, and now they mix it up, going on a play action to Woody Bennett out of the backfield. And Dan Marino right now seems to have his offensive team into a pretty good tempo.
And he's over 100 yards, 101 to be exact, from the 48-yard line. It's 1st and 10. As the Bills jump, and the play is dead before the snap.
Well, that Harry Galbraith, the right guard, moved for Miami. That'll end up going against the Dolphins, I believe.
Galbraith is a rookie out of Tennessee.
Number 8 draft choice this year.
Dolphins with a good draft. They've kept 9 of their draftees.
False start, number 62 offense. 5-yard penalty.
It is.
Still first down.
When you keep 9, it's either a good draft or you're looking to clean house, one or the other.
You know, you saw one of the Bills move in the middle, and I think that was Bruce Smith, and Dan Marino drew him off sides. What happens, though, sometimes when the quarterback is that proficient at making that hard count, he gets his own guy. And Harry Galbraith that time moved exactly the same time Bruce Smith did. Dan Marino, in essence, scared his own lineman.
1st and 15 now from the 43. Buffalo leading 10-0. 3:51 to play in the half. Jensen in motion. And on 1st and 15, Jensen makes the catch, takes it into Buffalo territory, gets it to the 48-yard line. He's tackled by Ray Bentley. Jim Crash Jensen, who before the game with the Jets here about a month ago, prior to the start of the game, went up to Nerea Reed, one of the Miami Dolphins cheerleaders, proposed, gave her an engagement ring. And what could she do? I mean, he was down on what, 1 knee pad when he asked her if she'd get married, and she said, of course.
At his career game last week with those 12 receptions, and you saw it and picked up good yardage. He do a lot of things.
He's almost like a tight end. The guy's 6'4", 220. Pretty doggone big wide receiver.
2nd and 6. And through the middle goes Ron Davenport to the 38-yard line for a first down with under 3 minutes now to go in the half.
You know, the Dolphin offensive line has felt a little victimized. They get a lot of publicity for their ability to protect the quarterback, Dan Marino, but these guys feel that they can run block too. The Dolphins have only been averaging 73 yards a game rushing. I mean, that's just pathetic. But these guys say it's only because the coaching staff won't call the running plays. We can block the run, and they certainly are on this drive. And believe me, an offensive lineman would much rather block for the run than have to pass protect.
1st and 10 from the 37-yard line. Out of the shotgun, Marino throws over the middle. A flag goes down. The catch is made at the 20-yard line by Mark Clayton, but we'll see about the flag back at the 36. And it's against the defense, against Buffalo. Now McCarter wants to know, was the catch made at the 20? The answer is yes, and that's where the ball will be put.
Number 29 on the defense. The penalty is declined. First down.
Derek Burrows with the hold. But that's academic as they take the play and a first down at the 20.
And you know, we've talked about Leonard Smith and how he'll put the stamp on you. That time Mark Clayton down on the ground and Leonard Smith comes flying in. You know, you're eligible in professional football to get back up and run again. Watch this shot that Leonard Smith is going to go ahead and put on Clayton. Now right there, Clayton can get back up. Whap! Right on the helmet. In comes Leonard Smith. You might say that's a cheap shot, but Clayton is eligible to get back up and run.
And we've come to the 2-minute warning. Miami has all 3 of its timeouts remaining. They're at the Buffalo 20. Bills on top, 10-0. Back in the 70s, Miami won all 20 games during that decade against Buffalo. But now here are the Bills seeking their 4th in a row against Miami.
And Miami looking good. They're able to move the ball on the ground. I think that's the surprising thing we've seen.
Yep.
It's really very simple, guys. Good drafting, good trades.
Moving it on the ground and moving it against the defense, but still they are scoreless here. With 2 minutes to go, 1st and 10 from the 20-yard line, and Lorenzo Hampton gets taken down, and there's a flag as Seals with a 3-point takedown and a penalty as well.
Well, it's the age-old story. If you're going to drive a guy into the ground, and I think this is the Joe Turkey Jones, Terry Bradshaw rule.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness. 96 in the defense, he slammed him down. He will go half the distance from this spot.
And that's all there is to it. The whistle is blowing. If you're going to take a man to the turf, drag him to the turf. Don't pick him up and corkscrew him into the ground. And that's what Leon Seals does right here. Watch the pickup and then into the ground. And the referee, Gordon McCarter, is saying, I've been blowing the whistle for 3 or 4 seconds before this happens.
And he almost got involved in it.
Yeah, he almost got his legs caught underneath there. No wonder he threw the flag.
Took him down as if he were a bottle of Chardonnay.
Here it is. Took down like a bottle of Chardonnay.
As if he were.
Write down the answer to that and pass it over.
Yeah, you'll see the question on Jeopardy. First and goal from the 9 out of the shotgun. Marino, and it's dropped at the 6-yard line by Lorenzo Hampton as he came out of the backfield. It'll be second and goal.
Hampton almost had to catch that out of self-defense. Marino really zipped it in there.
Dan had completed his last 6 prior to that drop. He's 9 of 12 overall in the game. And again, keep in mind, Miami has not scored a touchdown against Buffalo since their first meeting last year. They were shut out in meeting 2. This year they were held to 2 field goals in Orchard Park. And there it is, 153 minutes, or almost 10 quarters out of the shotgun. On second down, Marino has it tipped incomplete, and the flag is thrown in the end zone.
That's Cornelius Bennett, who is back in the end zone. He's certainly showing the frustration.
Working against Farrell Edmonds, the big rookie tight end.
And you're not kidding when you say big. 6'6", 250 pounds is Farrell Edmonds.
Holding. Number 55 defense. Half the distance from the 9-yard line. Automatic first down.
Now keep in mind, that's the difference there. Defensive holding, it's different from interference. If that's interference, the ball would have been at the 1-yard line. But it's a 5-yard penalty. In this situation, it'll be half the distance to the goal line, but brings with it an automatic first down. This just means now that the Miami Dolphins are now in option territory. There's Bennett in the lower right-hand part of your screen. You can't see from that angle. There was no hold evident in that replay. One can only assume that the holding occurred somewhere farther upfield.
First and goal.
Wasn't there.
From the 4, Marino throwing to the outside. The catch is made. Touchdown, Mark Clayton.
And finally, the tree beareth fruit.
Marino just grilled that in. Clayton was covered as well as you can cover anyone down near the goal line.
Do we have a flag down? I can't see one anywhere. The officials are sure acting like there's a flag, but
that's the umpire, Leo Miles.
Guys, I can't see a flag anywhere.
No.
Oh, yes, there is, right on the goal line now.
We are going to pick up the flag. Number 61, an internal lineman, established his contact on the line of scrimmage and sustained his contact downfield. That is perfectly legal, no foul.
The flag was dropped for Roy Foster being downfield, the lineman, but it was determined that he was in contact with the man he was blocking, no foul.
If you can start with a guy, you have a 1-yard leeway, and if you can stay with him. Here's Foster right here working against Bruce Smith. And he stays with him and goes far enough downfield. And Mark Clayton gets it in there.
He takes Burrows into the end zone with him. Tony Franklin to attempt the extra point. Ron Jaworski, the holder, and they mess up the extra point attempt.
Well, the
and
snap,
are down by 4.
The snap was so high that there was no chance for Jaworski to get it down.
Jaworski did a great job, I think, Frank, just in handling the ball.
Jeff Dellenbach is the snapper.
Watch this. Not that you're going to turn it into anything, but pretty fancy footwork and handwork on the part of Jaworski.
Thus, it's 10-6. Miami scoring drive as they march 91 yards. Clayton makes the catch off the Marino pass for the touchdown, but the high snap cost them the extra point, and Tony Franklin kicks off now to Buffalo. At the 1-yard line, Flip Johnson. Pursued to the outside and taken down at the 15, and chasing him down was Tony Furjanic. Bills have all of their timeouts remaining. They lead by 4 points with 1:30 to play in the first half.
Coming up at halftime, we're going to take a close-up look at Bruce Smith. We've been following him throughout the first half, the big defensive all-pro end for Buffalo. Also, we'll be talking with Troy Aikman, UCLA Heisman Trophy candidate.
Bills come up out of the shotgun from the 15, and they start with a shovel pass to Riddick. And Riddick gains only a couple. It's now 2nd down and 8. So now if you're the Bills, do you go to your hurry-up offense, or do you run the clock out? And they go without a huddle, which fairly well answers that question, at least for the moment. On 2nd down and 8, the catch is made up at the 20-yard line by Harmon, and he fights forward close to the 25 and very close to a first down, stopped by Judson. And we have an official's timeout for a measurement. And now a timeout charged to Buffalo, and we'll have a measurement as well. And that'll stop the clock with 59 seconds.
When Harmon first caught that ball, it looked like he was going to make his move towards the sidelines and attempt to get out of bounds, but instead he stayed in bounds and didn't quite get the first down. But when he first caught the ball, I thought he was going to make his break right there to the sideline, but instead he stays in bounds, and this was really after the fact. That was a good job by William Judson of grabbing hold of Harmon, but actually he had the decision about another 3 or 4 yards back upfield.
They bring the sticks out, and it is a first down. A first down at the 25-yard line. 59 seconds to play in the half. Bills have 2 timeouts left.
You know, if the officials had the clock, had to stop the clock there for the measurement, I wonder why Buffalo went ahead and called a timeout. The clock was going to stop anyway. It was certainly close enough for the measurement, and measure they did. I think Buffalo wasted a timeout.
Well, it would have stopped momentarily.
Well, long enough to bring the chains all the way out.
Sure.
That takes a good 30, 45 seconds.
At the 25-yard line, Kelly for Burkett, and he makes the catch at the 48-yard line. A great catch. He stays in bounds, so the clock keeps rolling. Jarvis Williams makes the tackle.
Hurry-up offense. They've called the next play already.
But Dan made a good point. They may have squandered a timeout unnecessarily.
And what a throw here by Jim Kelly.
Burkett back from having missed 4 weeks with the bad knee.
Now Kelly hits Harmon. Harmon tries to get out of bounds and does. At the 47-yard line, that stops the clock with 29 seconds. William Judson covering on the play. And keep in mind, the Bills have a very good place kicker in Scott Norwood.
His best of the year, 49 yards. His career best is 49 yards.
Yeah, he's the kind of a guy that's deadly from 40 on in. There's a look at Norwood, but
he's not a big kicker.
No, he's not the strong-legged guy that might remind you of a Nick Lowry or someone like that, somebody that might dent the scoreboard from 53, 54, 55 yards. Norwood's not going to give it to you from there.
2nd and 5 from the 47. Kelly and Riddick had fallen down. He was covered by the outside linebacker Rick Graff, but he went down on the grass, and it's 3rd down and 5 with 24 seconds left in the half.
Actually, Graff and Riddick kind of collided inadvertently, and they tangled their feet up, and Riddick was the guy who went down. Kelly just makes his reaction off when he expects Riddick to break, goes ahead and throws the football on a timing pattern all the way, and has no idea that when the ball gets there, Riddick's flat on the ground.
3rd and 5, Buffalo at the Miami 47. 24 seconds to play in the half. Kelly stepping up, and he's going to run for the first down. He has to get to the 42, and he gets to the 36-yard line. And out of bounds he goes with 15 seconds. So at the 36, they are looking at this point at a 53-yard field goal.
They'll want to get it closer, but the best of all worlds for Jim Kelly. Had a big open field. He likes to scramble. He sort of slowed that down under what you would call a very conservative offense of this man, Marv Levy, who studied under George Allen, if you can recall his conservative offenses. But
Kelly not only gets the first down, but he gets out of bounds, stops the clock.
And the key here is that Buffalo has enough timeouts remaining that they can work the entire field. They're not limited to some sort of a sideline pattern. They can run something across the middle. Plenty of time to stop the clock.
Maybe something for about 10 yards to really get them in range. And Kelly looking for that kind of a pass. It's Andre Reed, and he goes out of bounds at the 26-yard line. So now you're looking at roughly a 43-yard field goal, and they send in Norwood with 8 seconds.
And he has been very hot, as we mentioned before, 24 of 27. But again, Andre Reed coming all the way across the field, and it'll give you an idea how much time Kelly has. We talked about it earlier with Reed coming from the left side all the way across. Kelly standing back there, waiting until he uncovers and delivers.
He's made 11 straight, including 1 tonight. The ball will be set down at the 34. It's a 44-yard attempt. Kid to hold. And Norwood's kick is low and partially blocked and no good.
Well, we've got a flag down. There was a flag thrown right on the sideline. Right at the snap of the football, a flag came in from the head linesman.
And it's against Miami, so what a break for Buffalo, and there are 2 seconds on the clock.
Tee it up again. If the time would have expired, it wouldn't have mattered. You can't end the period on a defensive foul, so that was not even a question.
They may have lined up offsides.
Number 82 lined up in the neutral.
Here he is, right here. Right at the bottom of the screen, lined up offsides. Boy, what a mistake to be in the neutral zone.
What a boner. For Don Tulatine, you don't see that often.
I think he said 82. That would be James Pruitt, the already much maligned wide receiver. Now a 39-yard.
He better block it if he can.
Yeah, here he comes again. He's almost jumping offside again. And this kick is no good. So he had 2 chances, and his second is his first miss under 40 yards this season.
And he mishits that ball as well, Al, because even though that was a semi-short field goal, it barely made it. It barely even had enough distance, so Norwood misfires on 2 consecutive attempts.
And Shula and the Dolphins head to the dressing room trailing by 4 at the half. Buffalo on top by a score of 10-6. And we'll return to Joe Robbie Stadium after this message from the National Football League and a word from your local station coming up.
Back at Joe Robbie Stadium in Miami, the Buffalo Bills leading the Miami Dolphins 10-6. Buffalo coming into tonight with the best record in pro football, a 9-1 record. Of course, the Dolphins at 5-5, and the Dolphins playing the Bills very tough. We've talked a lot throughout the first half about Bruce Smith, the Pro Bowl right defensive end for the Buffalo Bills. We have watched him tonight, and he has performed once again in Pro Bowl fashion. But it's been an up and down season for Bruce Smith as we watch him here in the first half. 6'4", 285 pounds, incredible quickness, incredible speed. So Bruce Smith, a major factor for the Bills in their resurgence. He's had an up and down season, as I've mentioned. He had a drug suspension. And this past week, Lynn Swann caught up with him at his home in Norfolk, Virginia.
Bruce Smith grew up the youngest of 3 children, a pudgy little boy who was 30 pounds over the limit to play youth football. He was the fat kid that everybody teased.
I had a lot of instances where I would come home crying or things of that nature, and it just built up inside of me, and it compelled me to be the best that I could be.
When the fat kid grew up, he became a standout athlete in every sport he tried, earning high school leathers in 4 varsity sports. He played his college ball at Virginia Tech. Despite the school's low profile, Bruce was the top pro prospect in the country on draft day 1985.
First choice, first round, belongs to the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo selects defensive end Bruce Smith.
By his 4th season with Buffalo, Bruce was one of the most feared defensive ends in the league and a Pro Bowl MVP. He had resoundingly answered the taunting kids of his childhood. Bruce Smith had come a long way. But Then he faltered. Smith tested positive for substance abuse and was suspended for 30 days at the beginning of this season.
It was a difficult time for me. And most importantly, I'd like to apologize to my family, my friends. I have made a mistake, and I paid the penalty for it, but there's one thing that I want to leave with everyone that brings that point in mind is a diamond was once a piece of coal that did well under pressure.
It is the 11th week of the season, and Bruce Smith has come home to Norfolk. His mother, Annie, has made a special dinner, the kind that made her son chubby as a boy. But the real reason he's come home is because his father is ill.
He's had 3 heart attacks, and he's also has a pacemaker in his heart. And I just want to be there if something happens. And he just means so much to me, as well as my mother and the rest of my family.
Bruce has filled his parents' lives with the things they never could have afforded themselves. A beautiful house, an expensive car, and a fishing boat that symbolizes the closeness between father and son. From the time that Bruce was a child, the two would spend weekends fishing on a smaller 14-foot boat. Even then, George Smith could tell that his son had special talent.
I noticed that he was better than the other kids, but becoming the athlete that he is today, I had no dreams. But believe me, I guess I'm one of the proudest fathers in the world.
Always George and Annie's baby boy, Bruce Smith carries his family in his heart wherever he goes.
We talked to Bruce earlier this evening. George, his father, doing fine. He's watching this evening.
Al Michaels, Frank Gifford, and Dan Deerdorf as we start the second half. The Buffalo Bills coming in with the best record in the National Football League, a mark of 9-1. And the Miami Dolphins fighting to stay alive, stay in playoff contention. Their record 5-5. Bills took the opening kickoff all the way down the field for a touchdown, added a field goal. Miami with a late touchdown with a high snap on the extra point. And it's 10-6 with Cribbs back deep and Bud Brown with him to receive the second half kickoff. Scott Norwood will put the ball in the air for Buffalo. Norwood, who ended the first half by missing an easy field goal, angles the kickoff to the far side, and out of bounds it goes, and so it'll come out to the 35-yard line.
Kickoff out of bounds. The receiving team will put the ball in play at their own 35-yard line. First and 10.
And Marino will lead them from the 35 as this ABC Sports exclusive is being brought to you by Michelob. One taste will tell you why the night belongs to Michelob. By Nissan, makers of the Pathfinder, the vehicle that can take you anywhere in comfort and style. And by U.S. Sprint, America's first and only nationwide 100% digital fiber optic phone company. Miami starts with a shotgun, a very high snap, and the inside handoff to Davenport, and he is taken down by Talley first and then Bruce Smith second after a loss of 1.
That's a great save immediately by Marino. That could have gone to the end zone.
Take a look at the first half numbers. We see that Buffalo has the advantage in just about everything, and a turnover-free first half. Buffalo with a 10-6 lead, and interesting that Miami opened up on a first down in the shotgun, and now in second and long goes back to regular.
Second and 11. Great protection. Jim Jensen makes the catch. And he has a first down out at the 49-yard line. Jim Crash Jensen.
I think that's a good look at Miami attempting to confuse the Buffalo Bills defensively by going to the shotgun on first down, go to the conventional formation, the quarterback under center on second down, and certainly nothing unusual about this. This is something the Dolphins have been doing with great regularity, just running a simple underneath out of the backfield pattern to Jim Jensen. And for some reason, Frank, week after week, he's wide open.
And you saw a good shot of number 56, Darryl Talley, coming as the fourth rush man. Jensen slipped right into where he had been
gets the completion from the 49-yard line. Over the middle, the tight end is Edmonds, and he has a first down at the 45-yard line. Number 80, Farrell Edmonds, the rookie out of Maryland, who had a 20-yard touchdown reception last week against New England.
Frank, remember when we were here in the preseason and we saw Edmonds take a pass on a long touchdown run, and both of us were really amazed at what kind of speed this guy has.
He went 71 yards and took about a 6-yard reception and turned it into a 71-yard touchdown.
Keep an eye out for the name of Farrell Edmonds. This guy could develop into one of the game's great tight ends.
Got him in the 3rd round also. Second down for Miami at the Buffalo 45, and Marino, after coming up under center, back in the gun. Steps up in the pocket, fires over the middle, and complete, and a flag goes down. Edmonds was...
Well, Leonard Smith thinks this is going to be offensive.
Yeah, he was interference in the play.
And I think that's what it's going to be.
Pass interference, number 80, offense.
And that's Edmonds. So you told us to remember the name Farrell Edmonds, and McCarter does.
He just trampled Leonard Smith, the strong safety.
Smith just positioned himself in front of him, the good old pro that he is. And Farrell Edmonds, well, he thought that was a good thing to do.
Talk about giving up your body.
Penalty accepted. 10 yards, repeat, second down.
So they go from 2nd and 4 to 2nd and 14 now. Take a look at it. It's man for man on the part of Leonard Smith against Farrell Edmonds. Smith just lined up in front of him, set himself up, and as Edmonds came out of the break, he gave Smith a tremendous shove. 2nd and 14 from the Dolphins 45. Little dump off, and the catch made by Hampton. And he's buried out at the 49-yard line. They're back to about the original line of scrimmage. It'll be 3rd and 10. And again, Marino gets off a pass without a sack. The Dolphins came into the game without being sacked in 6 consecutive games. A look at Smith putting the pressure on here.
It's not through lack of effort by Bruce Smith and his folks up front. Their entire defensive philosophy: penetrate, penetrate, penetrate. Disrupt the flow. Run into a pulling guard. Make a back go deeper on his route. That's the entire philosophy of the Bills defense. Make the game be played at least 2 yards in your opponent's backfield.
3rd and 10 out of the shotgun from the 49-yard line. Clayton comes in motion. And Marino looking for Clayton, and too deep and nearly intercepted. Smith was back there, double coverage. It'll be 4th and 10, and on comes the punting unit. Smith and Kirby Jackson had him doubled. Interesting that the receiver, there were 2 receivers in the pattern, and Marino picked the one that drew the double coverage. The blitz was on, 2 linebackers coming, and Clayton now draws the double coverage, almost picked off.
And that's Leonard Smith coming across, making a play on the ball, reflecting a change in philosophy by the Bills. They like Smith back there playing center field. He plays that much better than actually having to play man-to-man coverage on someone.
On 4th and 10, Reggie Roby. Good high kick. And the Dolphins, can they down it? They touch it outside the goal line and keep it in. Renee Thompson, great play.
All effort. That's all effort.
Giving up your body. He dove for that ball, kept it in the field of play. Great effort.
He initially tries to catch the ball. The ball goes through his hands, and then in an attempt to save it, he leaves the ground and bats it back before it breaks the plane. Superb play.
Those are my special.
Quasi-superb play, because one official has overruled the other while we were away. Instead of it being down at the 1, the ruling is the punt did cross the plane of the goal line, but now they're reviewing it as well upstairs. And they had brought the ball out to the 20, but they are looking at what you are looking at now to determine whether or not the ball crossed the plane of the goal line for a touchback. Thompson almost caught the ball, and you saw the effort, great effort. We talked about the diving attempt by Thompson to keep it in the field of play. And now the conference amongst the officials. Chuck Heberling is the replay official. You saw him in the booth.
The disagreement was between the 2 officials who were right on top of the play. One of them ran in and put his foot down and actually marked the ball at the 1 foot line. And then the second official on the scene confers and they overrule it, but now it's upstairs.
Well,
the play stands as ruled. It is first down on the 20.
One official thought that it did not cross the plane. The other did. He overrules that official, and replay won't change the ruling is what it amounts to. You can see the field judge comes in as if it was not a touchback.
Well, it was still a 9-9 effort. Style points.
Yeah. And so it comes out to the 20. It's a touchback, and from the 20-yard line, Harmon with a straight arm on Hobley and a 4-yard pickup out to the 24. 11:20 to play, third quarter, 10-6 Buffalo. This is obviously a bigger game for Miami because they're right on the edge of falling out of playoff contention, but it's also a very big game for Buffalo. They would have to totally collapse not to win the AFC East, but more importantly, they'd have a 2-game lead on Cincinnati in the conference. What does that mean? Well, at the very end, of course, it would mean ultimate home field advantage through the AFC playoffs. From the 24-yard line, Harmon, and he is stopped after a loss of 1 at the 23. And now, when you talk about home field advantage in the playoffs, that is a huge home field advantage in Buffalo in January.
That's called home field rink.
What about a home field advantage in November? The Bills were talking to us last night about the problems they had just practicing this week up in Buffalo. They had to deal with 60-mile-an-hour winds. It toppled a light standard at their practice facility. And they told everyone who had their cars on the upper deck of the parking garage to move them off the upper deck because the wind was so bad. Hey, that's early November.
It's autumn. 3rd and 6 from the shotgun. Kelly flushed out, looking for the first down, and he pays the price after the first down is made and a flag goes down.
He's hurt.
Jarvis Williams, who has a reputation as a very hard hitter, with a very hard and late hit here, the rookie out of Florida.
And Jim Kelly had declared himself. I'll be anxious to see this from the end zone to see how far out of bounds he was.
Not going to matter. We've seen this all year long. And Jarvis Williams, the rookie from Florida, does have a reputation as a hitter. And I think he's a little bit confused. I think he probably could have got away with this in Florida, but not the way they're calling it in the NFL.
Well, you know, how far out of bounds is Jim Kelly? I mean,
Williams is looking right at Kelly.
Look at him work the sideline. He's still in bounds, still in bounds. I've seen a lot worse. I know that that's a quarterback, and he's obviously made his decision to step out of bounds. But that, I wouldn't call that a flagrant cheap shot.
And Williams is not looking at that sideline either.
I mean, I think the officials are correct in throwing the flag, and Williams shouldn't have done it. But we've all seen worse.
From the 48, he fumbles. Miami has it. Rick Graff recovers the fumble at midfield.
Jim Kelly was trying to get the ball to Jamie Mueller, the fullback.
And there's a flag from the line judge.
Frustration on the part of Mueller. He was in the grasp of Jackie Klein, trying to get to the football, was lying about a yard away from him, and he just couldn't do it.
Conference continues.
Kelly was a long way away from Mueller when he tried to get him the football. Somebody's path was incorrect.
Holding, number 98 defense. During the fumble, he tackled a man, would not let him make his opportunity to recover the football. 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Klein tackles Mueller. That's exactly what the ruling is.
Oh, man.
The frustration I was talking about, and then he holds him as he tries to go for the ball. Now, watches Mueller. Never did control the ball. Bounces off the pad. Now the ball is loose.
Oh, man. How do you...
Klein does not know, I don't think, that the ball is even free. He's just holding on to it.
Oh, boy, that's a tough call. How does Klein know that Mueller doesn't have the football? How do you call that?
That's tough.
Oh, man, I mean, hey, the name of the game is tackle the ball carrier. Jackie Klein sees Mueller coming at him. Since when is a defensive guy supposed to make a determination whether or not he's got the ball? First of all, if Klein knew the ball was laying on the field, Klein would have gone after the football himself.
It's Tom Olivedati.
Other than what I said.
Meanwhile, it's still Buffalo's ball. And a catch made at the 34-yard line by Rob Riddick. A pickup of about 9.
Double thumbs down to the officials there.
One more time, and there was never a completion of the handoff.
And keep in mind, we're watching slow motion from the side. Jackie Klein sees nothing but white shirts coming at him. You feel that ball carrier coming at you.
Second down and 1 from the 34-yard line. And Mueller fights his way close to a first down. So 2 huge breaks for Buffalo on this drive. Instead of starting this drive inside their 1, they started at the 20. And instead of coughing up a fumble, they get the ball back.
One more time. Again, now can Klein see the ball? Is he deliberately keeping Mueller from getting to the ball? No way.
Oh, no. Big stink.
You saw a moment ago, Jim Kelly almost laughingly said to Jackie Klein, sorry about that, we owe you one.
There's Olivedati, and
oh, he's upset.
I can't imagine why.
Third down and 1 from the 34-yard line. Metzelar's in motion. And the short yardage specialist leaping Riddick for a first down. So on this drive, as we mentioned, not only do they get to start at the 20 instead of the 1, not only do they keep the ball, you also had a late hit by Williams.
Well, you know, on that play right there, the reason none of the Dolphins tackled Rob Riddick is that they weren't sure he had the football. So they're trying to make sure he has the football before they tackle him.
Dan,
you know, that's the key to that play.
I think you've made your point, sir. Nail this sucker down.
Well, I don't think
Riddick is very good at this.
Boy, can he get up or what?
Meanwhile, Buffalo has made 8 of 10 third down conversions. Another one here from the 31 now. First and 10. Kelly to Andre Reed, a first down, and Reed is taken out of bounds at the 15-yard line by William Judson, and a marker at the in the backfield, in the offensive backfield.
And this is going to come back.
So finally on this drive, a nightmarish drive for Miami, the Dolphins get their first break.
Illegal use of the hands, jam to the face, number 73 offense, 10-yard penalty, repeat first down.
Will Wolford.
Will Wolford is the left tackle. Let's see if we can get a look at what happens. Here's Wolford, clear up here at the top of the screen. Jam to the face. That's Hugh Green working against him. Oh. I better not say anything, but it sure looked to me like his hand was in his chest.
I took care of the other one.
First and 20 from the 41. Kelly, catch is made at the 20-yard line by Trumaine Johnson. And that's close to a first down. It's a 20-yard pickup. They spotted just inside the 21. Might be close enough for a measurement.
We watched Trumaine. He also was with Marv Levy in the old USFL back in 1983. Marv Levy picked him up from San Diego last year, as just like he did Art Still, a former Kansas City Chief when he was with Kansas City.
Well, what a neat catch by Johnson that time. Coming across the middle. More often than not, you're going to get stroked right in the chin by one of the safeties, and that ball way out in front. And nice touch with the hands, bringing that in by Trumaine Johnson.
As they measure here, those numbers reflective of the injury to Chris Burkett. That's given Trumaine Johnson a chance to see a lot more action over the last 3 games. And it's a first down here at the 20-yard line. 7:34 remaining, third quarter. Buffalo on top 10-6.
I think it's time for the guys in the striped shirt to lay out for a couple plays. Let's let them play a little football there.
First and 10. Harmon. And Harmon having a good night. Takes it to the 10. Again, if you tuned in late, Thurman Thomas injured. He's been their featured running back this year. Thus, we've seen a lot of Harmon and Riddick tonight with Thurman Thomas on the inactive list. And again, no marquee backs in this Buffalo running game, but this running game has held them in good stead all season long.
Harmon just doing what he did a year ago. Good runner, good receiver. And when Thurman Thomas came in, the rookie second-round pick from Oklahoma State, well, Ronnie Harmon had to take sort of a subordinated role. And he's getting a chance to really show tonight with Thomas injured.
First and 10 just outside the 10. Riddick swings to the outside, and Riddick, who has a nose to the end zone, is stopped at the 3-yard line. He is their short yardage specialist. They love to give him the football when they get down deep into enemy territory. Riddick this season has rushed for 6 touchdowns, received 1 as well, and run back a fumble for a score.
Big day last week when Thurman Thomas went out. They brought in Rob Riddick, and he went for 75 yards on 18 carries. Had not played that much other than short yardage.
How about those 2 names that he's chasing there? Cookie Gilchrist and O.J. Simpson. Not a bad pair of 32s.
Second and 3 from just outside the 3, and the first carry of the night for Carl Byram as they try to cross him up, and he gets inside the 1. He's a good blocking fullback out of Mississippi Valley State. Carry number 1 for him. Metzelar's leading the way. I believe they can get a first down without a touchdown, but just barely. The ball is inside the 1. It'll be 3rd down.
Metzelar's weighs 250 pounds, number 88. He's 6'7", and he's leading Byram all the way. Very close to getting it in.
Moving the ball over to be exactly on the hash mark. In situations like this, more often than not, the Buffalo Bills go to Air Riddick.
Air Riddick is number 40. And he follows Byram. Gets hit, but he's in. John Offerdahl was the man who hit him, but he only needed a few inches, and in he goes. So his 7th rushing touchdown, and he's in the book along with Simpson and Gilchrist.
Well, you can't blame John Offerdahl. His job is to get over the top of the line of scrimmage and make contact with the ball carrier on their side of the goal line. Offerdahl did it, but this ought to give us a good look. Watch Offerdahl come over the top. He smacks Riddick, but really, John gets no help whatsoever. Riddick is able to slide off and then fall into the end zone.
He was anticipating the leap by Riddick, and Riddick kept it on the ground.
Half the gang tackle on the goal line. That time it was John Offerdahl all by himself.
A big break keeps the drive alive. And Buffalo capitalizes by going 80 yards. Kid holds. Norwood's extra point is good, and the Bills go down the field, and with 5:33 to play in the 3rd quarter in Miami, Buffalo now leads the Dolphins 17-6. Less than 33 seconds to play in the 3rd quarter. The Buffalo Bills on top, 17-6. And back to receive Bud Brown is number 43, but the guy they want to get the ball to, at least Miami, is Joe Cribbs, number 20.
You know, Norwood doesn't get much distance on his kickoffs.
Well, look what the Bills have resorted to, actually having to hold the ball.
And an angle back there so he can get at least a lot of height on it. Good look at it there. The T won't hold it with the ball laying back that far, so one of the Bills has to hold it for Norwood.
Sherman Cockcroft, kick, comes down to the 6. Cribbs. And the former Bill takes it back out to the 27-yard line and throws an elbow into the stomach of Coach Roll.
Just as an aside to that, Dan, too, when you have a holder there, Norwood is considered taken out of the coverage, so is the holder. So you really come up with a little bit of a sacrifice when you use a holder on a kickoff. We'll be back.
From the Goodyear blimp, hovering high above Joe Robbie Stadium in Miami, where the Dolphins have the ball at their own 27-yard line. Now down by
11 and facing a most formidable defense. Buffalo right up there with Chicago in the very elite defensively in the National Football League. Marino from the 27-yard line has time and it has been intercepted at the 48-yard line, picked off by Cornelius Bennett, and Bennett takes it all the way inside the 20 to the 16. Cornelius Bennett, he can blitz you, he can tackle you, he can also cover, backpedal and cover, and picks off Marino's pass.
And he can run like a halfback. Marino threw the ball well. He just did not factor in the great speed of Cornelius Bennett. He literally can move like a halfback. Well, big man, 6'2", 235, and he runs like a halfback.
Somebody has to tell me why Dan Marino threw the ball. I mean, he threw right into double coverage. Cornelius Bennett is, I don't even know how Marino could see Edmonds. It appeared that Bennett was between Edmonds and Marino the whole time. Dan Marino still felt that he could force that ball in there, and it backfired.
We talked at the top about how inconsistent and erratic Marino has been this year. A lot of good plays and a lot of bad plays. And that one obviously in the latter category as Harmon picks up about 2, taking it to the 16. The interception was the second of the season for Cornelius Bennett.
And the 15th interception thrown by Marino.
To equal his, well, he now has 16 touchdown passes, counting the one tonight.
Well, every offensive team runs upon some hard times, and when that happens, you need your defense to get your bacon out of the fire, and that's where the Dolphins are right now. The Miami defense somehow, some way, has to jar the ball loose, turn it over, force a field goal that's missed, whatever.
Harmon, 2nd and 7. Stays inbounds and stays inbounds to the point. He's close to a first down at the 8-yard line.
I think this bacon is getting a little crisp, Dan.
It's about to. The Buffalo Bills attacking the perimeter. The way they're doing it, they're using Carl Byram very effectively as a lead blocker. And look how the Buffalo backs are able to string it out, almost all the way to the sidelines, then make a cut up field. And normally you'd expect that pursuit to be there to cut them off, but it's not the case.
Third and inches now at the 8.
And if you look at the Dolphin defense, they're starting to look to me like a group that's starting to get a little bit worked over.
And on 3rd and inches, Buffalo takes a timeout. They take their first of the half. 3:48 to go, third quarter. 17-6 Bills. Getting to believe in the Buffalo Bills, and I think a lot of people are week after week as the season moves along.
How can you not, the way they play defense, and what I'm impressed with tonight, the way they're handling the line of scrimmage offensively as well, Frank.
They're very close to a 10-1. There's nobody else like that.
Bills have it 3rd down and inches at the 8-yard line of the Miami Dolphins, on top by 11. And it's Jamie Mueller for a first down. It'll be 1st and goal at the 6. So Riddick can dive and Mueller can do a sort of a semi-dive. Riddick's dive is about a 9.6. Mueller is more like a 7.3, but it's got the job done.
Get that done now, though. They really have no big name backs in there. Their biggest name, the rookie from Oklahoma State, Thurman Thomas, not even around as we look at Mueller one more time. But Mueller, a lot of power, good blocker. Ronnie Harmon can come in there and give you good running, but can also give you a good receiver. And take a look at it at regular speed. You can see it. It happens rather quickly in there. It's very loud.
That's Jackie Shipp, number 50, that came over the top for Miami and made the hit. But by that time, Mueller had way too much forward momentum, and Shipp ended up going backwards. Certainly can't fault the Miami defensive team for effort. I mean, they are being game. They're right in there, and they're peppering the ball carrier. But physically, you just get the impression that Buffalo just a tad superior.
On 1st and goal from the 6. Ronnie Harmon takes it into the end zone. With so much blocking, he could start celebrating at the 2, thanks mainly to a block from Carl Byram.
And that's a great way to get some ribs broken, Ronnie. Start doing a little showboating on the 2-yard line. I mean, that's a good way to miss a couple games.
Bruce Smith did some celebrating last week and got chop blocked later because of it.
Yeah, that was last week in their game at Seattle. Smith had a couple sacks early in the ball game and did his fake heart attack where he puts his Fred Sanford routine where he's having the big one, and Ron Mattis took exception to that and came in and put the crunch on him.
And the league is still examining the tape of that incident. Scott Norwood's extra point is good with 3:02 remaining in the third quarter. And so after the interception by Bennett, Kelly and the Bills take it in. And Buffalo now leads 24-6.
Again, Metzelaars, who was the lead blocker on the Bills' prior touchdown, the lead blocker once again. Big number 88. 6'7", 250-pounder, just chicken blocking along the line of scrimmage, but he ties up his man, and that's what he's supposed to do.
Well, the folks in Buffalo pretty shortly will be able to hear something they haven't heard in 22 years, and that is tickets for a home playoff game will soon be on sale. They have not played a home playoff game since the 1966 season. The last time they played a home playoff game, had they won the game against Kansas City, they would have gone to Super Bowl I, but they lost it.
They've got some excitement going up there now, and you were talking about the playoff situation, home field and all of that, and their duel with Cincinnati. Well, they will play Cincinnati in 2 weeks, and of course the first tiebreaker will be head-and-head. That will fill up Rich Stadium.
But they right now will have a 2-game advantage on Cincinnati, and at least 2 on everybody in the conference as you look at Bennett, who made the interception. And they'll be on the verge of clinching the AFC East because they'd have a 4-game lead with 5 weeks to go. Norwood's kick into the arms of Cribbs from the 4. Out to the 25, and we talked about that shot block last week on Bruce Smith in the Seattle game. And
the situation was this. This is about halfway through the second quarter of last week's game. There's Bruce Smith on the left, being fronted up by number 65, Edwin Bailey. Watch from the left. There's Ron Mattis, the left tackle, who had been beaten a couple times by Smith in the first quarter. Came in with that illegal chop block. If one lineman has contact with a defensive lineman, you cannot come in and hit below the waist. That drew a 15-yard unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. The Bills sent it into the league, filing a protest. The league has it under advisement and won't rule until next week, we're told.
Davenport, gain of 2. That was the type of play, of course, that has ended a few careers.
And it is a play that 10 years ago was perfectly legal. It could be done by an offensive lineman. It could be done by a running back. And there were so many defensive linemen getting knee injuries that the league justifiably and rightfully so went ahead and outlawed the rule. And Roy Foster that time.
There's enough that goes on in there without having that happen.
Yeah, I mean, that's really blatant. But, you know, that's the kind of spotlight that you're in when you're the talent and the caliber of a player like Bruce Smith. Reggie White's the only other guy that comes to mind that I can mention in the same sentence with Bruce Smith.
On 2nd and 7, Marino fires. The catch is made by the tight end Edmonds. And Kelso tackles him after Edmonds barrels him over at the 46-yard line. So the Dolphins cross midfield and a first down with under 2 minutes to play in the third period.
Kelso, sort of the classic overachiever, but he has turned into a fine safety man for these Bills. Bruce Smith getting double teamed. You'll see 27 Lorenzo Hampton circle around, and they really work on Smith at the line of scrimmage.
That's Roy.
And you touched on it, Dan. You said you're that caliber player. You're going to attract that kind of attention.
That was Roy Foster, the left guard, with both hands on Smith's face mask.
26-yard pickup on the play, and Marino under pressure. That time has it intercepted again. Kelso to the 40, and Kelso to the 46-yard line. He's tackled by John Giesler. Mark Kelso having a tremendous season. That's his 7th interception of the year.
He runs the show back there. 3.5 grade point average out of William & Mary. Came up as a free agent and has taken charge at the defensive secondary. There he is, fine young man off the field also. He's the Travelers Man of the Year for these Buffalo Bills, for not only playing as well as he's playing outstanding football, but for his work in and around the community.
Smith getting in late there on Dan Marino. The ball was already gone, but really just a very poor pass from Dan Marino. Trying to find Mark Duper, but the ball severely overthrown right to Kelso.
Now the Bills from the 46, and Ronnie Harmon through the line, and he crosses the 50, is tackled at the Miami 47-yard line, and some of the crowd begins to head for the interstate.
And a lot of the Miami detractors, fans that would like to see the Dolphins do better, are going to say on a play like that, maybe Dan Marino is better off taking the sack. Maybe you can't throw it every down. Sometimes when no one is open, a quarterback has to eat the football, and this is where the consecutive games without a sack, they're working on 7, becomes a liability rather than an asset.
Second down and 2, and Riddick goes through the middle and picks up the first down on second effort to the 41-yard line. The Dolphins, by the way, as Dan mentioned, trying to go 7 consecutive games without a sack. 6 is the NFL record. No team had ever gone 6 consecutive games without allowing a sack. Goodyear Blimp Enterprise looking down into Joe Robbie Stadium as we start the 4th quarter. Al Michaels along with Frank Gifford and Dan Deerdorf and the Buffalo Bills have a 1st and 10 at the Miami 41-yard line. They lead 24-6. And Harmon is moved from up above, net him about 2 as he takes it to the 39-yard line. He is tackled by Hugh Green. Hugh Green making a comeback. He had a severe knee injury 2 years ago. He's lost a little bit of his mobility. A sensational player in college. He was 2nd in the Heisman balloting in 1980 to George Rogers. Played with Tampa Bay and now finishing up his career with Miami.
Started that career a teammate of Marino's at Pittsburgh.
2nd and 8. Riddick to the outside. And knocked out of bounds by Hobley after Kolick made the initial hit.
And we're seeing one thing that's really benefiting the Buffalo Bills, and that is with the type of lead they have in the AFC East and the way their defense is always keeping them in a ball game, they're getting an opportunity to work repeatedly on their running game. They're getting a chance to work on a running game that, if a lot of playoff games have to be played in Buffalo in that cold weather, what an asset that would be.
You can keep talking about a running game. You've got total concentration, my man.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Was Dan saying something?
That was a test from the truck, and I hope I passed.
3rd down and 7 from the 38-yard line. Andre Reed hit at the 31-yard line, very close to a first down. Hit by Jarvis Williams, one of 9 rookies on this Dolphin roster. And they have opted to go for defensive picks in the last 3 years as their top selection. Williams a number 2 pick, but that tells you what Miami was looking to do, and they think they're on their way to reestablishing a defense which had really gone south.
Yeah, we talk about the Bills and maybe not having the great names because they have not had the national TV exposure over the years, but they have 14 regular starters who were 1st or 2nd round draft picks. Now that's the most of any other team in the NFL. The most any other team has would be 11 of 1st or 2nd round starters.
Harmon, who looked like he was looking downfield for a moment as if to pass, packs it in and picks up 1 and is knocked back by Lifford Hobley. It'll be 2nd and 9.
I guess if this was a sports telecast on the local news, this would be the news notes section, but I guess one of the things we ought to touch on is the first coaching casualty today, as Darryl Rogers was fired as coach of the Detroit Lions and replaced by Wayne Fonts. And I guess the loss to Tampa Bay yesterday was just more than William Clay Ford could stomach as owner of the Lions.
Fonts is from your hometown, Dan.
Canton, Ohio.
That loss combined with the fact that about 25,000 looked on in the vast Silverdome. 2nd and 9. Reed on an end around, and Andre is stopped just short of the first down. It'll be 3rd and 1 as Jarvis Williams again is in on the tackle.
Andre Reed's having a great year. He doesn't have that blazing speed, but when you watch him, you know right away he's got the quickness. Came into tonight with 48 receptions, one of the top receivers in the league, but he can do a lot of things out there. Bills really don't have blazing speed to get deep, but Reed represents what they do have.
Well, he sure likes to play on Monday night, doesn't he? Had a big game against the Jets there at Giants Stadium when we had that game, and then another solid performance here tonight. And the Bills as a team don't seem to object to playing in Monday night games.
That was the night a lot of people began to believe the Buffalo Bills were for real. Riddick on a 3rd and 1 inside the 10 and down to the 2-yard line. Another big night for Rob Riddick, who last week took over in the first quarter when Thurman Thomas was hurt. And again, with Thomas inactive tonight, Riddick gets a chance to shine, and that's exactly what he's doing.
I think back to that Monday night game against the Jets. That's the night that the Bills really burned up Giant Stadium. Really?
Literally.
Riddick again, ordinarily he works inside. Good block, kicking out the cornerback. And then Opperdahl makes the miss, and Riddick is on his way.
And we're really seeing I think a game, but at this point, demoralized Dolphin defense. They did their part early.
Here's Riddick looking for another touchdown, and he gets it. Rob Riddick, up among the league leaders in scoring, has now put it in the end zone for the 10th time this season, and only Greg Bell has scored more touchdowns in 1988. He has 13. Bell of the Rams and a former Bill, ironically.
But at least Bell has done it with a lot more yardage and carrying the football. Riddick now has 10 touchdowns and fewer than 200 yards rushing as a yearly total. Or if he's over 200, it's barely. We'll get a yearly total for him. He had 167, I believe, coming into tonight's ball game.
Norwood's extra point is good. Well, that was the 64th time he's carried the football this year, and the 8th time he scored a touchdown on the ground. Not bad. 1 out of 8. And Buffalo routing Miami 31-6. Buffalo on top 31-6 with 11 minutes and 44 seconds to play. A rapidly emptying Joe Robbie Stadium. They came up about 3,000 shy of a sellout, so the game is blacked out here in Miami. And about half the crowd has departed because the Bills lead by 25. Last time Buffalo appeared on a Monday night game, they routed the Jets 37-14 last month. Short kick, Chris takes it at the 11-yard line. And Joe brings it back out to the 26. Coming up later on Nightline, the Palestinian Parliament in exile has proclaimed an independent state. And for the first time is Henry. From the 26-yard line, Dan Marino on first down is juggled and then dropped by Troy Stratford.
And I think Bruce Smith is going to get a roughing the passer, Al.
And he is.
Yep, he came into Dan Marino late.
It's a little bit frustration for a defensive lineman who goes against Marino because he always seems to get rid of him.
Remember the new rule, you only get one step in going after the quarterback, and from that other angle we got a good look that Bruce Smith took at least 3 steps before he made contact with the quarterback, and that's just the automatic call. That's all that referee is doing, is standing behind the quarterback. His first job, priority number 1, protect the quarterback. And that time a good call against Buffalo.
Bruce has been there all night long, but just as Marino has been releasing the ball, and that time he just couldn't hold it back.
Well, protecting the quarterback is something that hasn't happened a lot through the league this season. The irony in this game is that you've got 2 premier quarterbacks, and both have been healthy through the course of the year, and that's news these days. From the 41-yard line, Marino throws to Jensen, who makes the catch over the middle and takes it to the 47-yard line for a pickup of 6. On the subject of injuries, the Bills very fortunate this year. They haven't had that many key injuries, and they've had 16 players who started every game this year. And that's an extraordinarily large number. Marino nearly has it picked off again. He's already had 2 intercepted in this half and nearly a third as Wayne Davis couldn't handle it.
Let's take a guess, everybody at the same time. Who do you think might have been in Dan Marino's face?
George Smith's son, Bruce.
BS.
How about number 78, Bruce Smith, who takes him to the ground, and again Dan throwing backwards, got lucky that time and avoided the interception.
Family looking on up at Norfolk. If you were with us at halftime, you know his father is not been well, but we talked with Bruce earlier this evening. He's doing fine, and he's watching tonight. He's watching his son put on quite a show.
On 3rd and 4 from the 47, Marino finds the open man. That's Freddie Banks. His second catch of the night is good for a first down, and the flag is down at the 33-yard line.
Yeah, this one was in the vicinity, I believe, of Mark Clayton, and it looks like we may get an offensive interference.
Shule has seen too much of this year, and we mentioned before.
Pass interference. Number 83 offense. 10-yard penalty from the previous spot. Repeat third down.
That was a pick play more than
a real good look. A real good look at a pick. Here's Mark Clayton in the slot. Watch him come to the outside and pick off the Bills defense so his own man can loop in from behind. This is a classic look at the pick. There comes Clayton to the inside, picks off Kirby Jackson, the defender, and allowing Freddie Banks to get loose to the inside. That is a no-no, and a good job of the officials seeing it.
And that wipes out a 19-yard gain and makes it 3rd down and 14 for Miami from their own 37. 10.5 minutes to go. And the pass is incomplete at the 47-yard line.
You have to wonder if the constant pressure by the Bill defense in Dan Marino's face all night long isn't even affecting the way he's throwing when he's not rushed. Looks like Dan is off balance, throwing from the side. Just not the normal trajectory and accuracy that we expect of Dan Marino. And, you know, it's tough for this guy. Because of his success, he's really forced to live up to a different set of standards than any other quarterback in his league.
Reggie Roby, fielded by Flip Johnson, who runs into his own man. And then Flip is taken down by Edmonds, and there's another penalty marker. Tackle made at the 18-yard line. Gordon McCarter has been a busy man tonight.
Read the lips there. We're going to have a face mask call. Harold Edmonds hustling down there for Miami, but getting the hand on the face mask.
Wrong side, Gordon.
5-yard face mask committed against the runner. 5 yards from the spot of the foul. First down.
Now he gets it straight.
Here's reverse angle. That's Farrell Edmonds. And let's see, does he get a hold of the face mask of Flip Johnson? He certainly gives it a good effort. Got to understand, though, that he can't see that. That's strictly by feel. And that is clearly an inadvertent face mask.
But it does feel like a face mask.
Yeah, especially if you're Flip Johnson.
So they start now from the 24-yard line, and there are the Bills in the second half. Touchdown, touchdown, touchdown. 2 of those drives starting after interceptions. Harmon, who lost 24 yards on a running play against Chicago earlier this season, was not looking to duplicate that feat, but almost did.
Al, I want to tell you, you are the most prepared play-by-play man in the business, because you start telling us a story about this before he's even down yet. You are venturing into new ground.
Almost before the handoff.
I'm going home.
Man, are you on top of this?
Interesting to add to that, the Bills had 24 yards rushing when Harmon lost 24 yards. And they broke even in the only game they lost 24-3 to the Bears.
Yeah, well, let me tell you, we're hurting if we're telling Bears stories.
Well, I'm sitting here reading a book entitled The Life and Times of Malibu Kelly Hayes. 2nd and 14 from the 20-yard line as Riddick gets stopped for no gain.
That's a coloring book, isn't it, Al?
Eric Kumaro, the #1 draft choice of this year from Ohio State, gets in there and makes a good play. And the Dolphins are really pleased with the way he's coming on. Big guy, 6'7", 260.
Well, the in vogue term these days in the draft, when you pick somebody who surprises the supposed experts, is a reach. And he was the #1, as they say, reach in this year's draft. 3rd and 13 from the 19. Little shovel to Riddick. Out to the 31, and I know every time I see that play, and you do too, Frank, we think of Lee Grosscup.
Oh, he was the master.
Little shovel pass.
Where is Lee wandering around tonight?
Lee is he's announcing University of California football in the Bay Area, a job held by Marv Levy a few years ago before he got back into coaching.
That's a good way to work it in there.
Yeah, there he is. Marv, a Phi Beta Kappa from Cole College.
Been around. Coached at Kansas City, went up and coached in Montreal. Was with George Allen, as I mentioned earlier, with the Rams, later the Redskins. Very loyal man. He brought Ted Marchibroda along with him, who he met under George Allen with the Washington Redskins. Did the same thing for his defensive coordinator, Walt Corey from Kansas City.
The Bills have just let the clock run down. They're going to take a 5-yard delay of game penalty and go ahead and punt the ball away. You know, we've been talking about the draft and guys like Eric Kumaro. I think this is an interesting statistic talking about the Bills. They have really done it through the draft and done it through drafting successfully. 14 of their regular starters are either first or second round draft choices. Now that's, you know, you talk about a team that's supposed to be good. I mean, when you have that many people who are starting that were high draft choices like that, I mean, that's the way it's supposed to work. And the Bills are making the most of their draft choices. And, of course, with guys like Cornelius Bennett and Art Still and Leonard Smith, with other people's draft choices as well.
Made the right trades, put it all together under Marv Levy, and they're on the verge of going 10-1 as Kids kick. Bounces at the 40. Schwades lets it bounce. Then it rolls 15 yards from where it initially hit. Down to the 25-yard line, a 49-yard boost. 7:44 to go. Buffalo on top, 31-6. It sounds like a rout, but if you weren't with us at the start of the second half, the score was 10-6 in favor of the Bills. They had the ball. Miami appeared to have recovered a fumble, but it was ruled that Mueller was being tackled on the play in an attempt to recover the fumble. That kept possession for Buffalo. They were able to take it in for a touchdown, and if there's a key play in this game tonight, that's the one.
And what are the odds of Don Shula being on the phone to Art McNally, the head of the NFL officiating crews, tomorrow morning, bright and early? Art, I know you're listening. Get in early because the first call is going to be from Shula.
It could be a 24-hour hotline.
That'll be an incomplete pass.
There's a little shovel there. It's incomplete. That's a forward pass is what it amounts to. Jaws. Ron Jaworski is the backup quarterback for Miami.
Cornelius Bennett doing his job, number one, get upfield, and then attempting to react back to the inside and almost came up with that ball. That would have been an interception if he would have somehow been able to control that, but he did the next best thing, just totally disrupted the play.
2nd and 10 with Moreno out of the shotgun from the 25. Clayton makes the catch, and he's out to the 33-yard line, short of the first down by about 2. Big year for Mark Clayton.
What a catch it was. Thrown behind him, put the hand out, and pulled it in with one hand.
And the Dolphins going to the hurry-up offense, the no huddle.
3rd and 2 from the 33. And Marino hits Clayton, and a first down. Clayton taken out of bounds at the 42-yard line. Clayton, in the last year of his current contract, the Duper, you might recall, was a holdout, and Duper's not having a very good year in the first year of his new megabucks deal, and Clayton thinking about his future negotiation and putting himself in a pretty good position right now.
Isn't that the way it is more often than that? Whether the sport be football or baseball or whatever, there seems to be that element of hunger that drives you to the better performances when you know that it's going to have a direct relationship to what kind of a contract you get.
Duper has only caught 1 touchdown pass this season, which is pretty amazing when you think about the fact you're a wide receiver on a team with Dan Marino. Clayton, on the other hand, has caught 7. On 3rd and 12, it's Fred Smerlas. Good piece on him in Sports Illustrated. Yep, it's me.
Encroachment.
He knows it.
76 defense made contact. Still third down.
His brother has a master's in psychology from Massachusetts and said I needed to get all of the information I could so I could understand Fred.
Here's Fred right here, and this will be Fred back about here before this play is over with.
Hey, he has gone to 4 Pro Bowls, but the last time he went was back in 1983. But he is playing Pro Bowl ball once again. Rejuvenated, Fred Smerlas.
A wild and crazy guy, as they say. 3rd and 7. And the catch is made out at the 40-yard line by Freddie Banks. For a first down. 3rd catch of the night for Banks.
You talked about Duper only having the 1 touchdown. Marino threw for 359 yards last week and only got 10 points out of it. And a loss to New England.
Clayton taken out of bounds at the Buffalo 48-yard line.
You know something that's interesting, guys, is that here in Miami, some of the people that call into the talk shows and some of the writers and some of the local papers are saying maybe the game has passed Don Shula by. And isn't it incredible that some of the most, some of the winningest coaches in this game's history can take the heat they can take from both fans and from some of the press. I mean, I'm thinking of Tom Landry in Dallas, Chuck Noll in Pittsburgh, and of course this guy Don Shula. Now, somebody's going to have to catch me in a rare mood to convince me that the game has passed this guy by.
Me too.
The guy has 1 losing season in 21 years as a head coach. That, to me, of all the achievements, 6 Super Bowls he's been to, is the most remarkable thing, that he is in only 1 losing season.
I think the thing about Don Shula that has impressed me the most is his adaptability. And I'll talk about it after this play.
On 2nd and 8, Clayton makes another catch. Boy, he's really padding the stats on this drive. That's his 4th catch of the drive, and he's out of bounds at the 42, 3rd and 4.
Football coaches have this stigma of inflexibility. I have a system. You will conform to my system or you will not play. And here is a classic example of the guy that adapts the system to meet his players. When he had Zonka and Kick in that great offensive line, they ran the football. He didn't have that running game, but he has a quarterback named Marino and receivers like Duper and Clayton. So what does he do? He leads the league in passing. I mean, to me, I think that's a tremendous compliment to a coach in his ability to read his players and mold a system around them.
He's done it any way he's had to. 3rd and 5 as Marino has his pass dropped by Clayton at the 40. It wouldn't have been a first down anyway. It'll be 4th down, and they'll go for it. 4th and 5 at the 43-yard line. There are the numbers. Again, Marino, as we mentioned at the outset, his numbers very good. 3,008 yards in 11 games, 16 touchdowns, 57%. He's had 4 3,000-yard seasons now, but it's been a very erratic year for Marino, and in a way, tonight's game is his year in microcosm.
For a quarterback of Marino's caliber to have the same number of interceptions as touchdown passes is not good. A quarterback of Dan's capability should have a 2-to-1 ratio, touchdown passes to interception.
And he normally does. On 4th and 5. And it's picked off by Shane Conlon, the 3rd intercept for the Buffalo Bills.
Again, Marino just trying to get rid of it. And, of course, down 31-6. You can excuse that one. Spectacular catch by Conlon.
It was maybe the best catch of the night. Trumaine Johnson made one coming over the middle for Buffalo that sticks in my mind. But watch this. I mean, but the sidearm throw, jumping up in the air, and that's a pretty that ain't all bad, guys. Little one-handed stab by Shane Conlon.
He'll find himself on the short yardage team.
And that's Conlon's first career interception. 2nd year out of Penn State.
What a collection of talent on that defensive unit. Conlon, the 1st-round draft pick a year ago. Got Cornelius Bennett over on the other side. Bruce Smith, we've been watching all night long.
Meanwhile, the new quarterback is Frank Reich. As Kelly is done for the night after a good night, and Harmon, who's had a good night as well. Funny thing about Reich, here's a guy who plays very little, but the most action he has seen this year was in the Jets game on Monday Night Football last month. And tonight he's in with 5.5 minutes to go. And that proves the Bills have been prime-time players this year. Routed the Jets at the Meadowlands on October 17, 37-14. And Kelly can take the rest of the night off.
And if I'm an AFC football player, the saying the road to the Super Bowl goes through Buffalo not only seems like a possibility, but a scary possibility at the same time.
2nd and 8 from the 44.
And you got to figure that the Bills are going to be very strong, because when you get on the kinds of fields you, in all probability, will have the kind of weather you get in the Northeast, late December, early January, you need a running game.
Let's take a look at the remaining games there. They play the Jets next week at home, then the game at Cincinnati. That's a big game, but if they keep it up, they'll have a 2-game cushion going in. They will after tonight's victory as well. And at Tampa Bay, Raiders in Buffalo, and under the dome at Indianapolis. And we talk about that Cincinnati game being a big game. Again, you look ahead to that home field advantage situation in a possible AFC title game.
Think NBC would let us do the game on Monday night?
3rd and 4. Riddick.
Good move by Riddick to stay in bounds. I think with this kind of lead, probably could have saved a little wear and tear on the body by taking it out of bounds.
Well, the only loss, and that picture says it all, Marino, anguish, well, semi-anguish. By the leg, but you hit the point, and the other guy celebrating on the right, Kelly.
That's at 83, along with John Elway, Kenny O'Brien, Todd Blackledge, Elliot Marino.
And Rob Riddick, one of the unsung Buffalo heroes, and those who are now coming into the consciousness of the public as the Bills get more exposure, and rightfully so. And their regions on Sunday afternoon, I am sure, will begin to expand shortly, as well as NBC and CBS make up their respective maps. 2nd down and 7 from the 36-yard line. Well, we've got Michigan.
By the authority of the National Football League, it is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or any other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the National Football League is strictly prohibited.
Well done.
Thank you.
I didn't know that.
And I'm leaving.
Good night.
Ta-ta.
2 minutes to go. 31-6.
For the forgetful football player.
The only celebrating going on tonight at Joe Robbie Stadium in Miami.
You're speaking of the running game, Dan.
Well, they have to cheer. They're paid to do so. We've been getting some audio in there. We've been getting inside 2 minutes, and a pretty disconsolate group of Miami Dolphins. You have to feel for these guys. They tried tonight. They really did.
And they're looking forward to a tough 5 weeks ahead, because this season is pretty much history.
It's 3rd and 1, Buffalo at the 31-yard line. And a first down is picked up by Byram, so unless Miami stops the clock, this one is over in 1 minute and 50 seconds. And we can tell you the executive producer of Monday Night Football is Jeffrey Mason. Tonight's game produced by the Harvardian Ken Wolf. Harvardian. And directed by Craig Janoff, who has a new shirt. Our technical director is Joey Chavo. Associate director is Ben Harvey. Rob Biner, our halftime producer. Bill Freeberger, our tech manager. Ed McKinnon, our unit manager. And the gang all here at Joe Robbie Stadium as we wind this one down at the 29-yard line as Rob Riddick takes it to the 24. And our thanks, of course, to Mr. Univac, Steve Hurt, and Malibu Kelly Hayes, and Puyallup George Hill up here in the booth. Marcamento on the computer.
We'll be back here in a few weeks, won't we?
We will be against Miami against Cleveland.
How about the thrashing the Dogs took yesterday out at Mile High in Denver? How do you figure that?
No, 30-0 at the half. Smile creasing the face of Marv Levy. Well, here's a man who's trying to get to the playoffs for the first time after a long coaching career in professional football. Canada and here in the NFL with Kansas City and now Buffalo.
Oh, look at this.
Oh, will they? Will they?
Oh.
They got him.
And he looks less than happy. I don't think Marv's into it.
No.
Not yet. But he wouldn't mind a few more of those.
Imagine how that would feel in Buffalo in January.
Oh, yeah, right.
They would never hit the carpet.
No way.
Bicycles.
No way.
Marv wouldn't move again till May.
Here are the standings now in the AFC East with 5 weeks to go. Buffalo 10-1, best record in the NFL. Colts are hot. They've won 5 straight, and New England alive in contention for a wild card berth. They'll be here next Sunday.
Badly in need of offense are changing quarterbacks today. Pat Ryan gets the call, replacing Ken O'Brien.